coming at you live from a couple of stools in the low class studios. This is Feminist and a Comedian Walk Into a Bar. I am Justin Golek. I am a comedian.
You gave me a look like you needed some, like...
No, it's just dramatic
approval.
pause, baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all about timing. Speaking, performance, comedy, it's like music, right? You got your notes, but you got your rest notes, too. What are those called? Just rests? I forget all the musical terms.
I know.
It's just called a rest, right?
I don't forget the symbol. I remember it's just a rest, yeah.
Yeah. So, that was just a rest.
Okay.
It was planned. Keep it on beat. This is Feminist, build it, drop it. I'm Justin Golek. I'm a comedian. I'm sipping on. I got another Lone Star, baby, because what is today? Hashtag sauna day. Hashtag sauna life. Living my best. Hashtag sauna life.
Did anyone guess your...
No, no one did. No one gave a shit. This one's kind of... I've never seen one before like this. It's literally just one picture. And I think I know what it is, because it's like the one picture in kind of like encapsulates a saying.
Yeah.
But it's just weird that you would do one picture. Or pick a saying that could be encapsulated in one picture. But I guess, I don't know, you probably do hundreds of these. Maybe you just ran out.
Oh, so it's just one
You
image?
want to see it? Yeah. You can figure it out, probably. As we talked about last time, I'll be drinking Lone Stars. So I can... did you figure it out?
No.
You can't figure that out?
No.
Right, we'll talk about it after the show. All right. So, if you want to go head-to-head with Jackie and see if you can figure this thing out, like I said, I'll be hydrating on sauna days with some Lone Star, but to keep it fun, to keep it interesting, to keep up with Jackie's mocktail creations, I will post the pictogram on the underside of every Lone Star cap sometime around the time that the new FemCom episode drops. So usually Mondays at some time. Usually in the morning, sometimes later. But check it out over at Justin Golek on Twitter, and if you know it, comment on that post. Like I said, I don't know the terminology of Twitter, because it's like, it's things, but then like, because I would say at me, but I don't want you to make a separate post. What do you say?
Just at reply.
At reply, that's what it's called. Yeah, at reply me on the post, on the picture of the old cap, and just tell me what the phrase is. And maybe, like I said, maybe
that one's... I don't know. I don't
that
know if
one's easy,
I don't know if I was
baby.
holding it the right way.
There's no wrong way to hold it. You're just fucking dumb.
What if I'm the first to answer it and I'm like, boom, at reply?
Well, like I said, there'll be some prizes involved, but not until
It's like I
people
had a
start
head
caring. So, but maybe, like I said, I might like retroactively give prizes, but I'm not promising until people start giving a shit. And so far, no one gives a shit. So, suck my fucking dick. No prizes for anybody.
Maybe they don't have Twitter. Or
Yeah,
they forgot
no one
about
has
it.
Twitter. Fuck you guys. Also screaming into the void with me, feminist Jackie Manti.
I love screaming into the void.
Yeah, well, it's just funny. That's why it's even more funny that you're so sensible.
Why?
Because I'm screaming into the void. You're sensibly replying into the void.
I'm at replying.
It's a void. Just have fun with it. Say ridiculous shit. Call Christians ISIS. What are you sipping on?
I made a blood orange... Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Blood orange mint basil
I'll tell you what you made.
mocktail.
A mess in the kitchen.
I cleaned it up.
Hey, that's the secret behind the scenes of every Jackie Manti mocktail.
Oh,
it's me doing the dishes.
Right after this, I go to bed.
Yeah.
And you do the
Okay.
dishes.
Good night.
Okay. Bye.
She sips on like 3 ounces of juice that she's always just moderately impressed with, and then I have to wash a whole giant for serving up steak cutting board, like something you'd cut a brisket on. Because she had to cut one blood orange. And it's even worse than the brisket.
The other ones were...
It's like I got to scrub it because it's like dyed red with blood orange.
Here's the thing.
Nothing soaking or rinsed.
I'm trying to take photos of it. So it's got to look kind of cool. So I used the big, big cutting board. No, so I did a 1/4 cup blood grapefruit juice. Blood grapefruit.
Blood orange? Is it a grapefruit or a blood orange?
It's blood orange Italian soda.
Okay.
Grapefruit, ruby red grapefruit juice that I squeezed fresh.
Okay.
1/4 cup of tonic water.
Okay.
and then half a cup of the blood orange soda. I used sour Pinots.
So,
Bringing it back.
So a blood orange sour Pinot, some tonic water, and some fresh grapefruit juice squeezed from a grapefruit.
So good.
What's the green stuff?
Delicious. Okay, so
Is that mint?
Mint and basil.
Do you muddle it or do you just drop it in?
You can do muddled, or since I don't muddle, talk about you would bitch about me muddling.
You'd break multiple glasses. I guarantee.
Yeah, no, I just chopped it up and it all flows to the top so it doesn't get stuck in your straw.
And then so you got to use a straw.
Yeah. It's fucking delicious.
People are fucking hating straws now. Have you seen this?
Oh, because I know.
They're trying to ban
really
straws in restaurants.
And
now we're going to have to use these fucking paper straws.
Well, I mean, if they're bad for the environment.
But I don't want. Now we're gonna have straws leaking.
I'm gonna save my straws.
They're like
need you
the wax is like they're wax coated. They work. I think they work better. No fucking way they work better. No way. Paper straws. Bringing my own bags to the. No, I'm throwing that thing out. I'm chucking it right into the blowhole of a fucking dolphin. I just feel like we're always missing the issue. Listen, people of Earth. If we can whittle this down to one kid a person, we can use as many straws as we want. You know what I mean?
I just think it's funny that those rules, like, we don't do straws anymore because environment, but yet you're serving me burgers where, like, it's been the greatest emissions to the environment is the farm, agriculture and. Yeah.
But even if you're growing vegetables is an unnatural act.
What?
It is. Your farming agriculture is unnatural.
Well,
you're
that's
whatever.
You're
still destroying. You're still destroying.
Plants are different from animal and livestock.
But people don't bring up. Some people do bring up. They feel things and stuff. But like a lot of people will try to hit you with that logic of like, it's destroying. Cow farts are destroying the environment and blah blah. And it's like, you're cutting down natural forest land to put in your unnatural crops because those are the ones that keep you alive. Like, there's still always... Dude, life is selfishness. You either thrive or the other thing thrives, and then you're gone in 60 years. There can be more and less harmonious ways, but I think... I'm not the fucking first one to say this, but it's overpopulation. It doesn't matter if you eat beef or dandelions. It's the fact... Fine, get everyone eating dandelions. Now we need to fucking cut down more rainforest to make more dandelions. You know what I mean? Like, so where's it end? It ends either we're either the most successful species or we're not, and we've gone so.
Oh, it ends with lab meat. That's coming.
Yeah, but then again, you still need to build those labs on land, and they're probably producing some sort of emission, and like, you know what I mean? It's never ending.
So, are you being optimistic? Or pessimistic.
I'm being realistic.
I know, but like...
To me, it's more than... To me, I don't like when people bring it as a moral issue at all. Like, that's what it is. Don't use a straw because that goes in the ocean, and then a thing chokes on it, and then it floats over to India, and some starving kid has to... And just, it's moral issue. Don't... Because then that cow... makes farts, and then you're eating that, and you're supporting that, and then the floods rise, and then someone's house gets swept away. Poor family. And it's like, it's not a moral issue. Literally, it's just the morality policing of people that are doing what people have tried to do since fucking the conception of fucking, being just more aware than the average animal of your surroundings, coming online, and all that is just controlling entropy. Just this human tick, this fucking little tick we have that we like have to control empathy. It's like it's where all OCD is bred from, this natural human instinct, which is more of a human error, to control entropy, and it's just not.
Entropy.
Just the idea that once things are set, they that the physics idea that once things are set, they start desetting.
Atrophy?
No, entropy. Atrophy is also a word, but that's not entropy. It's a scientific term.
Okay.
Just means like you set I think, and like, I did not major in science, so I took science for poets, but like, so they always had to describe it with real world examples. So the physics teacher I had in college described it as like, you build a snowman and it's perfect, and then literally the second after it's built, no matter how slowly, it's melting.
Yeah,
You know what I
your
mean?
value's depreciating, right?
You can't control. That's entropy. It's I guess you call it the degradation of
Okay.
systems in physics. Like things are always breaking apart. Like
So you feel like that's what humans are just
and
gonna
that's it. Well,
always
that's the thing. It's like
do.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like you said. Like just no one, just by your existence needing to fuel your body and then put waste from your body somewhere and all that. I mean, even if you're eating fucking leaves and you're using fucking canvas, I mean, who do you think made that canvas bag? Look at the tag. If it says made in China, a slave made your fucking canvas bag that you're so proud of not fucking polluting the beaver's dam with. You know what I mean? Which is,
Right.
I'm not morally policing you. I'm just saying life is pain, you know, success is death. Like it's all balance. Like you have to kill something to live, and then you'll die. I mean, that's why like you could always take more or leave more. There's always a balance, but you'll die and fertilize flowers at some point. You'll give back eventually. Everyone does. It's like the universe is a closed system, and there's always that idea that it's not, that you could like perfect it or even cause this utopian growth where everything flourishes, nothing has to die. Everything has to die, and it dies to support life.
But don't you think there's value in cutting back how you personally contribute to that? What your carbon footprint?
There's for
or
sure
like
value in not being a fucking full-on glutton or hedonist, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, like eating meat because it's kind of the natural diet of the human being, it's not full, even with factory farming, it's not full hedonism to me. And I wouldn't mind more sustainable ways or encouraging hunting, or encouraging, more plant-based and more, like you're even like, shit, like I've brought it up realistically just to try it, like again, like eating insects. You know what I mean? Like a lot of countries eat insects, right? Because it's like it's good animal-based protein, and there's tons of insects, and they're cheaper, easier to harvest, less devastating to farm. All these fucking things. And, but I don't know. Yeah, they'll probably be gross. But what if they're not? What if they taste like little shrimpies? You mix some like what? Because that's what I think. A cricket and a shrimp/lobster, like they're kind of the bugs of the sea. What if you scampi them up and they're good? Maybe they're not. But that again, that's the thing of just like, to me, the idea of just eating fucking lettuce and then shaming people, or like worse, people that eat fucking just like vegan hot dogs. And it's like you're eating on a healthy level, you're eating a chicken patty. There's just no chicken in it. Instead, it's just some filler soy protein, but it's gross frozen manufacture. It's gross. It's not healthful. So to me, there's also a hedonism in not taking care of your body, but then being like, but I'm also not hurting the ozone, so I'm better. And it's like, I think you not treating yourself well is gross too. How many fat vegans
people
you know?
who are vegans.
I know a shit ton of fat vegans.
I just don't like that narrative of if you're vegan or vegetarian, you think you're better than other people. I don't think that's true at all. The most vegetarians and vegans I've met are like the opposite. They're like, I just want to just help.
I would disagree that I mostly think it's true, but I'm not even saying that to pick on them. I mean, this started off with straws. So that's my point. Like what you're doing something. Are you driving a car? I mean, just flushing your fucking toilet. You use a plastic toothbrush. You're still throwing that out. I mean, I don't drink a lot of soda. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not using a lot of straws. I might use as many straws as some people use toothbrushes, I don't know. I'm just saying there's a ton of plastic. There's a ton of emissions. There's a ton of wasting of fucking water and resources and just mushing down the goddamn earth with your stupid feet. Like,
baby wants his straw. Okay, give him a straw. I'm gonna start packing these straws to take with us when we go out to dinner, so you can have a fucking straw.
I've heard, dude, you don't hear the tone. I mean, it comes through even in writing, the tone of people so proud of their, like, I've heard we actually have metal straws now, and that's what we use around the house. It's like, okay, who gives a fuck you in your mouth. When you go,
how are they supposed to talk about it?
But when you get your salad from Subway, do you bring your own fucking fork? Do they put it in a plastic container? Like, okay, so I mean, how much is that straw?
I don't know.
That straw
I feel like you're being shamey at like wanting to just try little things to
I'm
make
not
a
being
difference.
shamey. I'm just saying
To
me, it's not a moral issue. It's a human. It's a profound and basic human error that youth. I mean, dude, I brought this bit up before on here. It's the best bit of all time. It's that George Carlin bit. Like, you're not saving the planet. You're just maintaining its habitability to your specific species because you're selfishly a member of
Well,
that
and
species.
that's, I mean, good. I will do that then.
That's fine, but then you're not moral. That doesn't make you altruistic.
Yeah, I don't think.
Looking out for the human race while part of the human race is not altruistic. You just hope that, the things stay, if the ozone stays good for everybody, it'll be good for me too.
So
And or
you're
my
saying
kids.
you don't like the tone that feels
You can do
altruistic.
it's problem solving. It's problem solving. It's not moral issuing. That's my issue. If you're saying like I don't want to use straws because that hurts people and I'm a person and I don't want to do something that hurts me, that's fine. But then you're just solving a problem. You're just trying to make the earth more habitable to you. You're not doing it moralistically or selflessly at all. That's the thing. Like I said, your canvas bags are made by fucking slaves. Your car is killing the planet. And if you're a white woman, you're probably voting for Trump, so that's not helping anything. I got metal straws, and I voted for Trump. Well, you're breaking even, sister.
I mean, I don't think that's who's using metal straws.
There's probably some crossover. Dude, there's so many NPR Republicans now, man. Those lines are getting wishy-washy.
Really?
I think so.
How do you know that?
Just you can tell, man. You can tell. If you're gonna ask me to back up every point I have with statistics,
No, I just am.
we're
no,
not
I
gonna
just
have
was,
a successful
Justin,
podcast.
I just
Jeffy.
was curious because I
You don't know.
never heard that
I just
before.
think there's a lot of tote bag NPR centrists, and I don't think they necessarily vote down the blue line. At least in like the last,
Well, I know that the
8 to 10 years, but especially post
who did this? The
Obama.
Victorians were famous for distinguishing themselves socially, right? By class, by morality beyond God, right? Like they would take care of themselves better, and there's been correlations to the Victorians to
I never
upper
heard that, but
mid
that's
class
like
and like
you're nailing it.
like yoga in the park or like doing where you're wearing your workout clothes to go shopping, and like it's sort of you're like signaling I'm of a certain class.
Yeah.
Because I work out, I have time to work out. I can afford Lululemon. Anyway, so yeah, so let's just be honest about that part of it. But I don't totally agree with you.
Or
that
let's
like
be honest. If you have one or less kid, you're doing something good for the planet, and you're not allowed to brag about that. You know what I mean? Like, dude,
I feel like people get nervous about that because then they're like, well, that's like anti-choice. But no one's telling you not to have more than one kid. It's just
but
like,
so my thing,
if you're going to act moralistic about it.
You live in a country where meat is widely and cheaply and easily available. And you're choosing to forego that for something else. So that's my point. Is like, and you can say, I'm doing it because the planet. So what's wrong with us saying like, and you could even say, because like I'm sure a lot of those people are like, I don't even really like that. Or I like this one thing. Oh, I miss hot dogs. Or I miss this. But everything else I don't mind. And it's the same thing I could say, right? Is like, I don't really want more than one kid if I want a kid at all. So I don't really want it. But also, yeah, I could easily say like, oh, but I'm also doing it because like, oh, there's just too many and the planet can't sustain it. But I would never say that. Because first of all, because I'm not a fucking ass, but also because like you're not allowed to. There's certain things. Again, you're fucking biking to work, your canvas bags, like those you can take credit for, but not having kids, can't take credit for that.
I know, and I hate this feeling that I was actually feeling this the other day, sort of, and I know it's no one like made me feel this way. It's just culturally you pick up feelings, right? And everyone I know has a child, and I'm like, am I like being selfish by not having a kid? Do you know what I mean? Like sacrificing what I want with my life to have a child yet? And then I was like, no, that's not, I just cannot think like that because I think it would be more selfish to try to throw a kid in now.
It depends what you mean by selfishness.
Well, right. And it's so subjective and personal, right? It's such a personal experience.
I think it's just morality. I just think morality is. We try to. There's secularists that like try to distinguish morality from religion, but I really think it's Bronze Age nonsense. Morality in and of itself. I think like I think it's better to just think of it as ethics. When you think of business, you don't have business morals, you have ethics. And again, ethics is about fairness. It's not about morality, like
Mm-hmm.
this ultimate good. And then I think in your personal
So
life, it's not about morality to me.
we
It's again, it's about kindness, which I don't think is moral. It's just trying to be kind. But again, there's still a rational sustainability to kindness. Like, you be kind to me, I'll be kind to you. It'll make the world better for us all. But I think morality, that we all have this little angel in us that just makes us do good for no reason. It's like it's just a silly yardstick to even give people, because it's unattainable. So it mostly just makes people feel bad, or like you said, makes people brag so they can feel good, and then that usually makes others feel bad. They're lifting themselves up on the kind of so-called fucking failings of others.
The difference between ethics and morals is that ethics implies there's a decision, and neither one is necessarily bad, right? Because in business, your point is to make money. So you have a choice to make. You can make it kind of shady as long as you're doing it legally, or you can do it
Well, I think if
ethically.
you're doing it if you're doing shady but legally, then I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's even ethically wrong. I mean, that's the point. I think ethics is about fairness. Maybe not some. I don't know. Maybe not everything put out in exact, but it feels like most ethical decisions of quote unquote right and quote unquote wrong are usually spelled out in some sort of law, if not a law, like a regulation or a
Mm-hmm.
company regulation or something, or at least a company fucking.
Like ethics are about transparency.
Yeah, I think that's what. I just think again, just moralizing everything. I mean, we talked about that. What was that, a few weeks ago when we talked about doping? Didn't we talk about doping
Yeah, well,
and how?
moralizing. Do we feel like we still need that, but we don't have? So many of us are
I just
not
think, like I
religious
said, I don't think we
anymore.
don't realize it. Like I said,
We don't realize
we don't, dude.
we're
It's
moralizing things.
I think all human life is, especially in American society, it's so. We've talked about again. This whole podcast is just things we've talked about before. But no, it's just like it's all branch, no root. So that's my point. Is that's when I start to even just address it. Like I said, it's something I didn't even think about in terms of doping, because it seems again like an ethical issue. Like, because it's a sport and they have a rule, so you're breaking a rule. It's ethics. But then like you learn about the kind of history of it, and you're like, shit, it's kind of like it kind of got turned into a moral issue, and literally you can trace it back to this specific time that kind of religion made cheating a moral issue. And it wasn't breaking the rules, it was like you were violating this kind of higher code of conduct. When you're like, well, people are using better bats and better balls and better cars and better clothing, and shoes, why not better drugs, better biology? Why not? And why is that the line? And you're like, well, it's arbitrary. And when you smell arbitrary, what do you usually find that smell coming from? Usually some sort
Poop.
of religion. Same thing, poop. Yeah. So I think that's how I feel, and especially when you can find a lot of environmental or whatever kind of high mindedness coming from liberal people, and then again you're like, again, what do a lot of liberals share in common? And you feel it's secularity. I just made up that word, I think. Just like a secular way of living, or at least an agnostic way of living. And then you realize, yeah, that's it's become their morality. Like, I don't use plastic straws, I'm going to get into NPR heaven, whatever that means for them.
Yeah, I just don't think that's true for everyone, because I feel like I'm one of those people, and I'm not doing it to get into NPR heaven. I'm doing it because
I think it operates on a subconscious level. I don't think people are thinking that, but I think that's where the natural human instinct to do good
no,
comes
you know
from. It
where,
comes from
and
this
no,
implicit
it's from
universal
it's
reward.
for me. It's coming from somewhere that wants to do good and be kind, but it's also from feeling powerless to change fucking anything, because I am a human and I am just a tiny speck of dust on this
Right.
planet, right? So that feels making a choice where, I mean, obviously I'm using a fucking straw, but like not
Fucking.
eating meat five days of the week. Like I feel like I'm
Yes.
helping.
I think you're nailing where it comes from, but I think you're not living in that truth that you are helpless to change it. You are a speck of dust, if that, in the
I know,
universe as
and
a whole.
and I
You
feel
can't
like this
change
is
it.
where we are different though. Like glass half empty, glass half full. Like I feel like okay, I can't change it. I recognize that, but I can like live in a way that I feel at least makes even if it doesn't make a
Yeah.
difference overall, it makes a difference in my life and how I feel about life.
I'm not judging you, but I feel like a lot of people say that, but inside they're like, man, I'm better than you. Just side note. I don't know. I don't think it's an optimistic, pessimistic issue. I don't see the glass full.
I think that idea that people who think like me is counterproductive and like I don't know, really like ignorant.
I don't think it's ignorant at all.
I do.
I think it's super perceptive. I don't look at the glass as half empty or half full. I don't think it's an optimistic versus pessimistic thing.
Well, you just
I
look at it as it's a glass.
Oh yeah, it's a glass full of liquid
without a straw.
Fuck straws. I don't know. I think it's again, just stop and realize. Like I just wish people. I think people are just moving so fast. If they just stopped and realized, like shit, there is nothing I can do. And again, there's things you can do to mitigate some things and slow down that entropy, but it'll never go away. I mean, the just blind ignorance in this country during something, like a country that has Black History Month, and just the mass ignorance just that washes over the country, that just fails to recognize that so much of what you own is built by slaves. You know what I mean? And you could just watch, fucking, you go visit the Harriet Tubman statue and be like, we've come so far and what we've done is so wrong. It's like, you just had the plantation's bigger. And it takes like a lower cash flow to be the owner of one.
I'm gonna take
because
photos
you've outsourced
of Harriet Tubman statue on my smartphone made in China.
Exactly, you're taking a picture of a slave with a slave fucking box. You know what I mean? Like it's just, which it's like, I'm not saying I own a phone. I'm saying like.
And are you being judgy now?
No, I'm just saying that's the point. Is deal with that. Don't say like, I'm not using straws. I can sleep better at night. You should sleep bad every night because the world's chaos. And you should go to bed. You should force yourself asleep, not by saying like, I'm going to make it better. You should go to sleep saying like, I'll try not to make it worse, but
yeah,
life is always going to be head to toe chaos, and there's nothing I can do to fucking do that. And then just throw the sleep timer on your TV and hope for the fucking best, man.
I think that's what I do.
Okay. I mean, you are using plastic straws, so you're probably a piece of shit. So, all right, we got to get into topic one. That was our best preamble, I think, ever, though. / worse if people just like us to get to the topics. I don't know.
They probably thought that was topic one. Straws.
That was not topic one.
I think it was about straws. They were talking about straws a lot.
Sorry, I didn't mean to burp into the microphone. I've been very gassy.
Gross. I know.
Well, don't pile on. I apologize. Don't. When I apologize, just say thank you for apologizing. Don't say what's gross.
You've been so gassy.
Whatever, plastic straw cunt. So, I have been gassy. If I farted, do you think the microphone would pick it up?
You're hurting the ozone.
I'm killing them.
Cows and
Dude, I've been blowing my
farts.
own personal. I've been wondering why the apartment's hot. I thought it was the radiator, but I think I'm blowing a very specific hole in the ozone. I just choked on my own spit. I've been doing that. Dude, I've been having water going down the wrong pipe a lot recently. Is that a thing that happens when you get older? Is my body like deteriorating?
The other day you were doing dishes and you had your headphones in and you like you were breathing so heavy because you couldn't hear yourself.
Yeah, when I can't hear myself. It was not that loud.
So
Shut
bad.
up.
And then at one point you like choked because you were like.
I did not. You're so full
You
of
did,
shit.
but hey, to make fun of me, the other day I was reading over I was like sitting on the bed and reading
no, do
something.
I have awake apnea?
No, hold on. Yeah, I was like, he's breathing so loud, he's gonna die.
I'm gonna be awake like, stop breathing on
You're
accident.
gonna die doing the dishes. From FemComPod. No, I was leaning over and I had I was like leaning down. I had my hands on my chin. And
Did
I
you
had my
almost choke
mouth
yourself
open.
out?
No, I like drooled like a huge glob of drool onto the bed. I was like, that's
You're
disgusting.
like a baby. All right.
They said I was awake apnea.
Shut up. I came up with that funny term. You don't get to use it against me. It was not that loud. You're
Like,
fucking.
he can't hear himself.
Shut up. I hate you. All right. So if you want more content like this, you can go to femcompod.com.
Who wouldn't?
You can subscribe. iTunes, Stitcher. We're fucking everywhere. I don't know. I saw someone post that their podcast is now on iHeartRadio. I'm not submitting to that. Who fucking uses that app? Just stop it.
The kids.
Use one of the major ones, or any podcast app that just uses a scraper. Like I use Podkicker. I use what I don't remember. But any of those fucking shits will get us too. So I'm not submitting to iHeartRadio. Use a real podcast app like Stitcher, iTunes, or any of the fucking other ones, and we're on those. I don't know why this pitch is so aggressive. Patreon.com/LO class. Fucking cunt. No dash. Become a patron. Become a patron on Patreon. Go on there for $1 and listen to some bonus content, and we'll have some more coming down the pike. And as always, for everything else, you can go to lowclass.com. That's lo-class.com. Went too slow. All right. First topic. Speaking of inconsequential gestures, Nancy Pelosi, she took the House floor for a record-breaking 8 hours. How long? What? More than 8 hours? Was it like 8:10? I think it was, or something. To stand up for DACA and the Dreamers. This is about the dude. This record was for
1909.
1909,
right?
And it was 5 hours and 15 minutes to protest a tariff. Whenever you hear about a tariff, don't you just think like old timey U.S.?
Well, you know what I envision? Old.
Like a scroll.
Illustrations from your history books where
Whenever
just a man in pantaloons like.
Whenever I think of a tariff, I think of like a scroll of paper, like a physical tariff. Like this is the tariff, and then they open it like, on sugar.
Everyone come to the town square. We're reading the tariff.
New tariff.
Tariff.
I'm protesting that. It's going to be the longest protest
5
ever.
hours.
And she did it in heels, which apparently is
that was a fucking story.
Big for feminism.
Ugh. 4-inch heels, and she's 70.
Dude, there was something. Is 4 inches even? Is that big?
I mean, for a 70-year-old woman, but who cares? I hated that story.
Is it hard to stand in heels though?
Yeah, it hurt. Yeah.
To stand though?
For 8 fucking hours, Justin. Yeah.
But to stand, I mean, more.
Yes, I'm telling you, yes.
I don't buy it. I think it's like a David Blaine thing. You know, it's like, is he really in that ice? I think that's the trick. The same way I don't think she was really in those heels. I think she David Blained us. I bet there's a conspiracy video on YouTube about that.
Who cares? I hated that was even covered as a story.
Dude, I saw like a Washington Post article where some fucking gash was like, this is more important. It seems not important, but it is important.
Oh, it makes me so angry.
Is that your favorite? My favorite misogynistic term for women is gashes.
I've never even heard that before.
Yeah, you
Why
call
is
them
it a gash? Oh, because I have a vagina gash?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so stupid.
I know, but I feel
like
it sounds very vulgar.
When we get mad about those words like cunt, like, I don't care.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I think it's misogynistic, but it just sounds so vulgar.
I feel like.
So I
know. Just words like that, like, I mean, because I know a lot of women who hate the word cunt, and it's like, I just don't know why. Like, I've always said I'm more offended by the word slut, but like, also, like, if you just don't get mad about it, like, because it's just a fucking word.
Well, that's why
it doesn't.
I think that's why
calling you
I don't go for.
I
don't always go for insult. I go for just phonetic vulgarity. So I think if you're
I'm the same way. I like the sound
if you're in a fight with someone and you want to make your point, I would just be like, you fucking dumb gash. Like, fucking dumb. It sounds so fucking vulgar. Like, just phonetically.
I don't think it does at all.
Phonetically, gash?
No.
It's a gross sounding word.
Sounds like you're taking a lot of effort to say it.
Well, just wait till our next fight and you see how you react when I call you.
I'm gonna be like, I don't care. Your words.
You will try to.
Rubber and
you will physically attack me. You've never said rubber or glue.
What?
You get this look in your eyes. I said you've never said just the idea. Your perception of how calm you could act in a fight is just funny to me.
I mean, I get mad at you for other things, not because you call me a gash.
I know, but if I attached it to my behavior, it would infuriate you, is what I'm saying.
Anyway.
All right, so this dumb gash standing around in heels talking for 8 hours. Women, right?
This is why no one listens.
No, but I don't really care if she's a woman or a man. I don't even really care if she's a Republican or Democrat. But this seems to be the MO of the Democrats, which is, hey, we can't pass meaningful legislation, and honestly, we don't really have a super strong stand on it, except we don't like some things. But we're going to go ahead and make a big publicized romantic gesture. And that's going to get us some political credibility.
We use these children as political props
that
4 months ago, so now we have to at least kind of act like we care.
Now we have to use them as political props again, but also this time maybe we might help them. And so there was this really good CNN article about it called "What is Democrats' DACA Plan?" I think is the headline. So, or I guess the full headline is there a Democratic plan to save DACA? And then in parentheses, not really. This is on CNN, and I just liked it because it struck me as like fucking kind of like newsy, which I feel like you don't see a lot of. Meaning that it seemed like it just stated kind of like they need like just a lot of like, well, if this happens, they could do this, and then if the Republicans do this, and if we wait this long, but if it happens now, and like it just seemed like a lot of just kind of analysis, you know what I mean, as opposed to like opinion, you know what I mean? And
oh God, it's just so sad that you're like,
I know,
check out this weird article. Like they just tell you the facts.
Jackie,
what is this?
I read this and I got kind of hard, and I know it's sad. I'm like so deprived.
Well, obviously you're reading the wrong. Like, do you read the Times? Or
I don't. I mostly don't read, but but I just feel like even what's shared, meaning what's popular, is very opinion. It's got even just what it poses as analysis has such strong voicing to it. This was pretty bland, and it really was just again like fact analysis, and. I'm not saying it was like Pulitzer Prize winning, but again, when you want to know
situations like this, you need the background, right? Like the general public isn't following this day by day. So like having something where they're like, okay, here's where we've been, here's what happened, here's why we don't think they have a plan because this is what their plan has been so far. Like just giving the facts.
And it's also just
here's my hot take.
When you're dealing with fucking Congress and the federal government, you're fucking a modern citizen with fucking regular priorities and a 2018 brain trying to decipher the rules and traditions of some fucking bureaucracy that was created by, syphilis-ridden fucking white wig-wearing men from like 200 years ago. So there's all these weird rules.
With tariffs?
Yeah, supermajority, and like the fact that the fact that Pelosi talked for 8 hours was because of some like what's it called, the last minute rule. Where basically, like, if you're I think it's like if you're the speaker or the minority or majority leader, you can talk last for as long as you want. Like, just some goofy ass fucking.
Yeah, why was it that long?
Because it just
was it like a filibuster?
Because they don't have a filibuster. Only the fucking Senate has a filibuster, and fucking filibuster. Why is that a thing? Just by its very wording, it's like this is fucking what a goofy white wigged.
But we will have a filibuster.
What fucking shocked by electricity trying to invent the light bulb maniac decide, well, it's called the filibuster. You can just talk forever. Wear heels.
Well, they were wearing heels with their wigs back then.
Jesus. So anyways, that's again why I just cream over just simple analysis like this because I'm going
to get you some better news sources, but
yes. I'm just saying because it's like because all you hear is like, will Democrats get DACA through? And you're like, is this a budget bill? And what is a budget bill? And what is shutting down the government? Because what is, why do they need 60 votes? I thought it was 50. Oh, it's because they got to block this thing. And then the Senate have to agree, all this shit. And then what I'll just feed to you to start this topic too. This is going to be like a 3 hour. This is going to be a fucking 3 hour long
let's just go
podcast.
through them fast.
No, that's fine. I mean, it just leaves you with two kind of major I don't know what you want to call them. Two major possibilities.
Okay.
It gives you all the stuff, and then it's like, what's most likely now saying all that? And one is, which this seems like the most, fucking reasonable and the most likely, and it even kind of says it as such. So it says, the fate of the Dreamers is 1, Washington does what it does best and punts. Maybe it's a few months. More likely it is, as Republican Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona has discussed, a few years. So they will just, all right, we're not going to vote on it either way, and we'll just talk about it. Fucking see you never. 2, Trump backs off his, quote, 4 pillars, which I don't know exactly what that is. I'm guessing he had like 4 conditions for DACA, and gives his blessing to a simple bargain, one that most Democrats would sign onto in a heartbeat, that trades some kind of permanent status for dreamers in exchange for money to build his border wall. And the Democrats, for all the tough talk and grassroots energy behind it, now seem destined to be spectators to their own fate. And that's what this article goes into. And again, not in a partisan way. I don't think, excuse me, this writer seems partisan in any way. And I mean, it's CNN, which is pretty relatively bland by cable news standards in terms of being biased. Yeah, pretty much just shows that, you know, the Democrats were kind of flaccid on this issue from start to finish. And so, again, what we're left with is no DACA plan, a shitty DACA plan, or a DACA plan that involves the fucking wall, which was obviously always the most ludicrous of all the Trump promises, and that's fucking saying something. But then you got fucking Heelsy Mick fucking pantsuit talking for 8 hours, and people just like hashtagging it. Go, Nancy, go. Go where? Do what? Literally do nothing. Do nothing. Either give them no answer for what one Republican congressman says years, or you're going to get a fucking, or we're just going to lose it straight up, or best case scenario, you get to stay, but then we build this fucking concrete fucking miles long fucking fucking statue, fucking memorial to racism and bigotry.
Yeah.
So, yay! But we talked for 8 hours and I did it on heels. So, what is this topic, Jackie? Are you tired of, as a liberal, as someone that probably votes mostly, if not all Democrat, are you tired of Democratic grandstanding? Or, again, do you not see it as that? Do you think that the passion here matches the legislation? They're just between a rock and a hard place with the fact that they don't have a majority anywhere, whether it's the courts or the presidency or the Congress.
Yeah, I was just so over this. This felt more about Nancy Pelosi than about the Dreamers. And especially because it was for a budget. It's not like they were talking about DACA, right? Like they weren't deciding on it. Obviously, they were making some kind of decision on it by this. But, like, you know, Nancy, coming in there like a hero, it's like you were part of these 2-week budget plans that we, you know, were like, we'll get to it. Like, you didn't get to it before this, and now you just come in and you're like, but I will stand here for 8 hours and read these letters that don't say anything that I haven't heard before.
And then did you hear her like weird thing?
She brought the rosary out and talked about.
Well, yeah, it means 8 hours, so I'm sure there's a lot of weird things. But some weird thing about her grandson wanting to be brown skinned or whatever, and I was just like, you know, that's what a 70.
Fuck you.
But
that's fetishizing.
Yeah, but that's what a 70-year-old thinks progressivism is. You know, that's why we need to vote these fucking people out. And again, like I was talking to my buddy about at a party recently, I'm like, that's all voting is now. It's all primaries. Because it's like, there's no Republican candidate ever going to offer me anything even remotely close to what I want out of a congressional candidate even, let alone a president. So I just hope that there's enough diversity on the Democratic primary ticket. So that's my problem. I'm not saying vote her out for the Republican. I'm saying, I don't even know, where's she from? Where's her, is she like Vermont or from? She's from one of those like, yeah, she's from one of those white places. Not Vermont, but like Delaware.
Catholic. But yeah, one of those New England states.
She's some East Coast gash, but like, but you know what I mean? Like primary her with someone that's at least under the age of fucking 50.
East Coast gash, see?
But you know what I mean? And it's like that. But
that's her age doesn't matter, Justin. It's politics as usual, and like that budget is fucking dumb, and all the money going to the war and the military instead of healthcare is just disgusting. But
I know. I just listened to a podcast about how messy Afghanistan is. It's so sad.
Me too. Oh, about the new book? Was it the new? Okay, we'll talk about it later.
Okay, yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But yeah, so CHIP, they funded CHIP for like 10 years, the Child Health Insurance Program. Yeah. And you know, what's funny about that is part of why that got funded for so long and like was so well taken care of in this budget was because both sides had been using it as like as a bargaining chip before, like, you know, not there, you know, and it didn't look good for parents to be on the news like my child's health is being jeopardized for politics. So it's just ironic that, like, it's just so discouraging that now you're doing it with other children, you know, like, or people who were children, you know, whose role in this was determined when they were children, and like, Jesus, we didn't learn anything. We're just doing it all over again. I don't know. I thought this was stupid.
So dumb. That my grandson wanted to be Brown thing.
I don't remember. I do remember reading that, but then I was like, is that fake news? Because it seems like it.
I mean, I give her the pass that I would give anyone that's speaking for 8 hours. I mean, if you're gonna nitpick individual statements, you're gonna get things that are weirder than other things. But still, again, it's like I said though, that speaks to what a 70-plus-year-old rich white woman thinks progressivism is.
That her grandson wants to be Mexican.
Yeah.
What? So weird.
Which is not like that kid is bad, but you just put up like, dude, like we.
Well, and to think, what did he tell you he wants to be Mexican, or do you just think because he listens to like Cuban music?
No, it's because his friend, he had a Mexican friend.
Oh.
Which it's like, that's already fucking 30 years ago progressivism to bring up your not even yours, your grandson's little Mexican buddy.
Yeah.
And then I guess like he was
It's cool, guys. My grandson's got a Mexican friend.
And then I guess something like he told her like, I wish I had brown skin like Paco. I don't know if it's Paco. Now I'm being racist. But at least I'm being straight up racist.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, fucking I want brown skin like Paco, Grandma, because he looks so cool. And
she's like, younger?
Yeah, he's like a kid. I don't know.
He's like 16.
And then, like, she probably whispered, like, no, you don't. So.
Oh.
Those are what housekeepers are colored like.
That's your nanny.
That's housekeeper brown. That's what we call that color.
You mean mommy? No, that's your nanny, honey. Your nanny.
Right? Fucking monsters. It's just like, I don't know. So that's the thing. It's like, and because like my buddy, he was like that I was talking to, like I referenced a couple seconds ago. Like, yeah, he's like a DSA party member in Illinois. It's like Democratic Socialists of America. Yeah, DSA. That's what I mean. It's like, yeah, you can just hope maybe you can. You're not going to run a socialist candidate. You're going to run a Democrat that's more left-leaning against the other Democrats and hope you can win. Well, and then you still have to win your race, but that's really the only choice you have.
Well, there's like discussion now of, as they gear up for the primaries, do you run more extreme candidates that are further out to the sides to like rejuvenate the parties, or do you?
No, you just do it because that's what people are hungry for. Mm-hmm. You do it because people would vote for Bernie Sanders who voted for Trump. And all these fucking eggheads just go like, that's the craziest thing I ever heard, because their policies are not the same at all. And it's like, you're just so far up your own, just looking at polls and just being in Washington too long ass that you don't realize, like, no one votes on that. You know, they just see two guys that are standing up to the establishment and looking out for guys like me.
Okay, man.
And then they're your favorite guy. You don't give a fuck about budget policy. You know what I mean? And so that's why you got to get someone that says something. And I think people are just over fucking 8 hours in heels and then fucking nothing but shit in your hand to show for it. I don't know. And I think you're saying you pretty much agree, right?
I agree. I thought this was ridiculous. And especially with, because not all the Democrats agreed. I don't know. Just why aren't you whipping the votes?
Remember when that chick in Texas stood up for abortion?
Wendy Davis.
And she had those tennies on that got all big? So what do you think? So what, now we shaming her because she didn't do it in heels? Huh? Because she wore tennies? That's why I said, Nancy, wear tennies, man. Who's making you wear heels? Oh. That's what I mean.
And you know what's gross?
She just basically
co-opting that to be a feminist story now. Like, she's so feminist, she did it in high heels. Where it's like, you're still being...
Or she's so impractical, she did it in high heels. You know what it is, though? But again, and I don't think this is... you always call me out on this, so tell me if I'm being cynical or not. But this is... I remember, Tiger Woods, when he was... before he was cheating, and he was just the greatest golfer to ever live. He had these great, like, sport moments. You know what I mean? Yeah. He had these great moments. You know what I mean? Just like fucking, Team USA level, Team USA beating the Russians in hockey level moments, like 3-4 times a year. Mm-hmm. Like, he was just this mammoth, fun athlete. And he was like a Nike sponsored athlete, and so he was always had these Nike commercials and stuff. And before him was Jordan. Jordan had very like iconic Nike commercials, and so did like Lance Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember, I can't remember the fucking tournament now, but they had that classic shot where it's like he chips. Was he chipping or putting? I don't remember the specifics.
I don't know the difference.
But it's basically he's chipping or putting, and the ball rolls up right to the edge of the hole, and like it rolls, and it's like on the lip, and you see like the Nike logo, and it's there for like a half a sec, but it literally stops rolling, pauses, and then just like drops into the cup.
No way.
Like it was just enough, and it was like you just kind of like they cut to him kind of like like leaned over, and then it goes in the cup, and he's just like and you see this like, and I remember whatever that was. I remember watching it live. It was just some buddies or something. Like I don't know, we were at home, or I don't remember again more specifics. I remember I was watching with friends, and like I just turned to whoever I was with, and I was like, that's the next Nike commercial. Like that'll be a Nike commercial in like 2-3 weeks. Like that shot, and then some copy or whatever. It's perfect. Like that's how good he was. And I don't feel like I'm being cynical.
Did it become?
Yeah, I think it was part of a commercial at some point. It's like a movie moment, but real. Like that's how I gotta show you this clip. I mean, it's crazy because it's like the logo, and it just pauses, and then
he was like pretty. You knew he was Nike's like he was.
Yeah, I mean this was like middle of his career, so he'd been great for a while. But the point is like I just you kind of alluded to it. I feel that's what's happening. We're not going to get DACA. I would fucking step on a dreamer's throat with one of these fucking 4-inch heels just for an extra fucking campaign contribution. Like, I don't give a fuck about these people. I don't give a fuck about passing this legislation. But we're like, okay, let's even take it back a step. I know this legislation is not going to pass. It's either not going to pass now, so we'll do it way later, or it's just not going to pass at all, or again, we'll have to give the wall. This is bad. It's all bad. And again, by all estimates, we kind of boned it pretty hard. And then I feel just like people like her, they throw on their heels, they grab a couple notes, and they stand at a podium for 8 hours, and them and their team are just thinking, this is my next campaign ad. This is my 2018 campaign ad. It's just clips from this with a little copy over it. Nancy Pelosi, standing up for you. And then a cutesy one. Nancy Pelosi, standing up for you, even in heels. You know what I mean? Like they're just like we need campaign ad moments, and that's what's. Not only do I not think it's cynical, but it's more gross because at least Tiger Woods, like that just happened. He was just so good. He had these moments.
It
wasn't.
Nevertheless, she persisted. Just happened, right? It wasn't like.
Right.
Elizabeth Warren. Oh my God, I almost called her Pocahontas. No, Trump,
dude, that's
you
why
are awful.
That's why he won. He can fucking. That's what I always think is funny.
Well,
is
he just hammers down a phrase until you're suffocated with it.
No, he's so bad. The only way because he's not even evil. Because I just think he's so. He's just so mindlessly silly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, evil is like premeditated.
Yeah, he's like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Like he's just breaking buildings because he's so giant. You know what I mean? Like he's just, what I mean? He's not collapsing democracy with like a sniper's precision like Nixon. He's just bumbling through it, knocking down plates. Like, oh, did I ruin democracy? I'm just trying to grab a Big Mac. Oops. He's like, I don't think he's some evil genius. You know what I mean? But I think that's part of his like appeal. I mean, I've been trying to like write a joke about it, but it's kind of so complex. But it's this idea of like, I mean, he's the candidate for a time in America where art house cinemas are closing their doors, and the only way they can stay open is to sell out midnight screenings of The Room. You know what I mean? Like we're a whole culture that's like, what's our favorite thing? The worst thing. But like the worst thing that's done with this, there's almost like an art to being the worst. To me, he's the Tommy Wiseau of candidates. No one's been this beautifully awful. You know what I mean? Like, you even talk about Bush. I think he was a little dumb too, but I think he at least had political conniving, and then he attaches to someone who's truly evil like Dick Cheney. This guy's just like, you gotta fucking see it. And that's why, like, when he came out in that red hat, It's a red, gross $2 dad hat. It says "Make America Great Again." That's just word salad nonsense. But it's bad in this way that's what's funny. It's like, how many hats did you see that were satires of that? You know what I mean? Like when that Rage Against the Machine fucking super band came out,
Mm-hmm.
they had ones that said like "Make America Rage Again," and I saw all these ones similar to that, like these kind of like parody hats. But I'm like, but that's how you're saying that he's already won, because in order for something to be parodied, it kind of has to be not good, but
And held in its own right as something iconic.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
he's an iconic figure in a Tommy Wiseau way. There's nothing admirable or interesting or great or transcendent about him in a positive way, but he's the big mouth Billy Bass of American politics. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's 1995. I gotta order one. It's just so bad, and he's this. I mean, it like he is one of those people. Like, this terminology gets used a lot, but he falls. If he was, and if this was like an Andy Kaufman character, it would be an act of pure genius, of unknown proportion, and that's why it's just so crazy that he's just doing it. He's trying his best and creating uh, a beautifully sculpted buffoon, but he's trying his best, and that's what he is. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
Like,
I
it's
feel like
so
I've always called him Mr. Magoo president, but I think Stay Puffed
yeah. But isn't it just
president is even
amazing?
better.
Like, he's trying his best, and that's why I think his arrogance is so Emperor's New Clothes, because it's like he's like, well, yeah, you can make fun of it, but I'm president. But it's like, dude, you're president, because you essentially, like, you are president for the same reason that the Snuggie made $1 billion. It was just so ludicrous that people needed it.
Yeah.
That's you. So it's like, yeah, you made it, but you made it as a goof that we had to see play out. Like, you made it as the midnight movie we just had to see, but you're still taking it as a success of skillful triumph. And I think that's the just like mind-bending thing of like, you did do it. I think you did skillfully do it, but it's the skill of the just unknowing jester that you did. So it's not a skill, but it's like a skill. You know what I mean? Even like I think I think Nasty Women. Like, women took that on, like, I am a nasty woman. But it's like, but you're admitting that it's catchy by using it. You flipped it, the meaning, but you're admitting that what he said is catchy because you are using it. But it's catchy in the I don't mean it's catchy like it's brilliant and smart.
That
but
is
it's
interesting, though. The two big like progressive statements I'm thinking of, nevertheless she persisted and nasty woman, which I love both of those. You're right. They're reactions to someone else said that.
yes. How many people say grab?
Really, that's
How many
interesting. That's
pussy
an
grabs
interesting
back?
difference.
Why use that phrase if it's not an interesting phrase? He could have said, "Oh, you fucking squeeze their bottoms." And they don't mind. They let you. And you'd be like,
I kind of love that. You just squeeze their
but
little
my
bottom.
point is that's not memorable.
Right.
Grab them by the you can't grab a pussy. It's not an Audi. You can't grab it. He has that, yeah, like Magoo mind to say the catchiest thing. And it's not catchy because it's intelligent. It's not catchy because it's a positive thing or
It's
a kind
not.
thing.
It's
just so ludicrous.
It doesn't think twice. And I think in our culture where we're always thinking twice, well, not on Facebook, but do you know what I mean? Like marketing, advertising. We just talked about the new Diet Coke ads are so watered down. They don't say anything at fucking all. It's word salad. Every brand has a manifesto they all say the same goddamn thing, right? And like,
Right. But that's
and I was thinking about
yeah.
the other day how like Hillary's campaign slogan was "Stronger Together," and I'm like, that was so. I get it, but like that after "Make America Great Again," right? Something like that will never
Yeah.
work again. That will never fly. Hopefully, hopefully we get some better marketing in there and realize like
Yeah.
we need something like a nasty woman, or nevertheless she persisted, but something of our own creation that's not a reaction against someone calling us a name, right? Maybe we'll be to gasher we can.
I mean, I think
Get
like
it?
yes.
Okay.
I think that like Bernie had that kind
What
of
was Bernie's slogan?
I don't really did he have one, but I feel like he had that
I'm Bernie. I don't need a slogan.
I feel like he had that bluster though that kind of attracted people. So I you know what I always think of because you say like to me there is a sadness that you need that level of just kind of just memeness. You know what I mean? To now be
Totally.
to now be
But
and that's
I
kind of
think that
sad.
translates to when people would say, which I think
Or like
is
hope and
hold
change.
on, which
That's probably better.
what I think is bullshit. But it was a very real thing where people were like, "I don't think Hillary is authentic." That's that's a parallel to having a slogan, right? You know, and like that, like him shooting from the hip off the cuff, like, and then she. But you know, to her defense, like she has learned to be that way. Women learn to be that fucking way, and especially in politics, I imagine is even worse. Do not.
I'm just kidding.
You sound like you're washing the dishes.
I have a disease. I need to start wearing my CPAP when I wash the dishes.
Don't do the dishes with your headphones on when I'm not here, because you're gonna just keel over. Let's go to topic 2.
No, I want more stuff to say. This is fun. Dude, we're already way long, so let's just cap this.
I know, I just have to pee soon.
Well, dude, you could take a break and I'll just vamp.
Okay.
So
Can I do that now?
Well, I want you to hear this thing, though.
Okay.
Well, you know what I always equated as, like, again, because there's a sadness that we can't run just like a common sense candidate anymore because we want fucking Oprah. Like,
I know.
But my point is, you know what I always compare it to? Or I guess not always compare it to because I kind of just thought of it, but something I always bring, but something else I always bring up about like maybe use a little sugar to make the medicine go down. And I always think of it like, well, just run an interesting campaign, but have a smart person with good ideas behind it. So once you win, you actually accomplish ideas. And I think of the idea of like pickup artisting, which is really just sales tactics, but like just kind of jiggered to be used on women instead. You know, you're selling dick instead of selling knives, but it's that same kind of thing. It's just body language and all that stuff. But I think there's definitely a sleaziness that's automatically attached to that, which I think is. I'm not saying it's completely unfair, but I do think there are genuinely men out there who are like, I'm nice. I want to treat someone nice. I want to find love. I want to find partnership. I just want to get out of the goddamn house maybe and have, you know, just a human conversation or just hold someone's fucking hand, feel a human connection. But I'm so helplessly shy. Like I have no confidence when I get in a situation. Like I know I have good intentions, but like I'm just so bland. I just get looked past or looked over. And I think like it's still like if you could give a man who's a kind man who just wants to live a good life and then once he finds the right person, treat her well. I mean, who cares if you give him front end tactics to open the conversation or to get a phone number or whatever? Does it really seem sleazy then? And sure, you can use that for evil. And I mean, that's what Trump's doing. He's like, I'm going to use the bluster. And when I get in, I got fucking nothing. I got fucking taco bowls and fucking dumb ideas. You know what I mean? But again, like if you could find like a good, young, interesting, smart, you know, well-versed, well-ideaed Democratic candidate and then like make something again like Obama. Like
is Trump like the guy in the magic hat?
Yes, yeah, he's mystery for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So there's levels, I
gross.
think. It's everything. Again, there's no morality. It's like it's ideas and tactics and then what you do with them. I mean, it's the same. It's to me to me pickup artisting is superhero supervillain, right? Right? Superheroes and supervillains. What do they all have in common? Superpowers. But it's like, do you help society with them or do you hurt society?
Do you think Mystery's dead of heroin by now?
I don't know.
Anyway, keep going.
It's probably just, I don't know. It's just it's too far. That's easy. It's right. I mean, that was a perfect comparison. That's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But then there's probably other guys that are just like, I just don't even know what to say. And just to have someone be like, say these things.
Well,
like,
the thing that's worrisome is that I don't think people like that. You know, like if you're using this analogy, this shy guy who just wants to hold someone's hand doesn't want to fucking run for president because that sounds awful.
My point is, you know, I shouldn't even brought up Bernie because we had it. I mean, we had our Trump. Our Trump was Obama. And people don't want to say that because of the just vast differences in how they were running
Right.
the
You don't want
country.
to compare them at
But
all.
think of their I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he was a celebrity. I mean, he got big from a big speech at the convention, and then
About politics, though, there's a big
but then he
difference
was on
between like
but dude, he was
being on Howard
handsome.
Stern
He was
and
handsome. He was funny. You know what I mean? Like that's why we liked him. We didn't give a shit what he did when he got in there, and that's why when you look back, that's why I encourage people to look back and be like, dude, he wasn't a bad president, especially by president of the United States standards, but he killed a lot of civilians. He monitored a lot of U.S. citizens, and he didn't really curb black people getting shot by the police, and he was a head executive. So, you know, he wasn't great, but you know, I mean, that fucking blue and red fucking picture of him with hope underneath it. I mean,
yeah,
that's
Shepard
his
Fairey.
fucking. I mean, it's classier, it's cleaner, it feels better. But in the end, as far as what it did, it's a red baseball cap that people wear around, and that's how he won.
I
And
know.
the thing that
No,
was good,
that's interesting. Yeah, because that poster, Shepard Fairey, right? Like that was okay. Around that time was when Banksy was hot. That sort of style was big. Shepard Fairey wasn't that big yet, but like this put him on the map, right? And like that aesthetic, they could tap into, and I think Obama could tap into that. I remember reading about Hillary's logo, and like it was really smart. It was the H, and it had the arrow going forwards.
she basically
Hold on,
her
let
logo
me
was
fucking
the
finish.
FedEx logo,
No,
essentially.
but like I've been in these meetings where you talk about a logo to death, and I know the difference between like what lands you in a street art style poster that defines visual culture for the next 8 years and a logo that's been sanitized to death so that it
Yeah.
appeals
And
to
I mean
everyone.
that hope thing was just like the red hat. I mean, how many
Yeah.
parodies of that and little takes on that
Well,
did
and
you
that's
see?
like, I mean, and that's the
It was a
the
cultural icon.
Republicans were like, "Where's your hope and change now?" And now people are like, "Oh, America's great again, huh? Like,
Yeah.
we're not getting any raises."
I just think like, yeah, you need to be able to just. I mean, to me, again, it's grow. I mean, dude, like here's the thing,
Right, it's
and people want to
it's-
make this connection, anyways. So let's just say it. I mean, the swastika is a cultural icon. Like you're like, I know exactly what that is, and it will always be like in fucking museums and stuff as like you're like this was a thing, and that's what, and it's all represented by that. So it's the same thing. Like again, I'm not saying it's cultural iconography.
Iconography.
I was like, why is that sounding wrong? Because I put the wrong emphasis
I
too
think
early.
it's cute when you mess
But
up
you know
the
what I
way
mean.
things
But
are
like,
said.
but that red baseball cap with white lettering, that's cultural iconography, just like the swastika. It does iconic.
Just like the swastika.
But you know what? When that's what I mean. Like people are always like, "Yeah, you tell 'em," and I don't mean it like that. I'm just saying like, I'm gonna say it again. Iconography.
Iconography.
Iconography. It doesn't
It's like
necessarily
Ike and Tina
mean
Turner.
good, but it means like no one's gonna forget that red hat for generations.
Ugh, gross.
And that's how he won. That's how he won. So you need to. How do we even get here? Oh, because
Well, and like
and
I just feel like "Make America Great Again" is not like you say that to. That's why liberals, progressives. That's why it was so offensive because it was like America might have been great for someone like you back then, and this again that you're talking about, but like you are obviously clearly don't understand what it was like for lots of other people, right? And like
right.
it's so dismissive for you to just be like, "We're gonna make it great again." Back when
I know,
the
but
women were good,
but that's what he
gashes
does.
and all that stuff, you know. But like, so what I'm saying is like, I feel like the right they're so. They just fucking go for it. Where in progressives, I love you guys. I love that we try to be inclusive and like, right, like stronger together. The arrow is pointing forward, but like it has no meat or balls to it or vaginas. Like just
has no
all
ovaries.
no gender neutral private parts. Like it's got to get some guts behind it to say something. You know what I mean? And to stop apologizing. And we can do that in ways that are still the ways that are still very much us and in line with us. Like, okay, for example, so I feel like liberals, I struggle with this as a progressive person because I'm like, I'm nice and kind and that's what I vote for, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like pissed about what's going on in this country or what people say or believe. It's so fucking infuriating. And I liked someone's a photo that was going viral. Someone had like drawn on a t-shirt like fuck Donald Trump and fuck you for voting for him, and they like wore it to, I don't know, like a Bob Evans, and people were mad about it, and I was like, I like liked it this morning, so I'm like, that's hilarious. And I was like, I don't regret liking that, but then also I know that that's not productive. It was just cathartic to see that and to like that someone fucking wore it out to Bob, you know, but I'm like, I know that's not helping anything. Well, the portraits were released today, right? And of course, you know, what side are you on? Do you love the painting or do you hate the painting? We can tell based on how you voted, right? But the painter, the artist who did Barack Obama's painting, you know, people were making fun of the ivy in the background, but I'm like, oh no, like that's this artist's thing, and his whole he paints young African American men wearing the clothes of today in 17th century poses from these paintings from the old masters, right? Like he does other work too, but like that's his whole thing, you know, where they have a cane or just sort of like re-elevating them and giving them a piece of history that they never got to have, or, you know, sort of shaking up your view of when you see and think of those poses, what do you think of an old white man and how or young white man, mostly just a white man, always white people, right? So like, and in that style, that realistic style, right? And then the backgrounds are like sort of this like, you know, they're making it modern, or there's some kind of statement to it, and like, right, and then infusing that colorful culture that they bring to it. Yeah. So what I'm my long speech here is that, so I was thinking about that, I was getting pissed that people were like, oh, Ivy, what an idiot, this is so unclass, blah blah blah. And I was like, how do I want to confront this? Because I feel like there should be some background, right? Like, no, this is really fucking cool and they're different for a reason. And yeah, like, but
not, the same guy do both?
No.
Okay.
But not no, a woman did Michelle's. But like not, and but I just feel, and again, this is where I feel very in the middle between like two fighting parents sometimes, because I'm like, I don't want to be one of those art history fans that's like, you idiots, you don't get art. Because that's why, again, no, I think that's why we are so divisive now, and someone like Donald Trump could win because they're tired of being talked down to, right? So like,
well, then raise yourself up.
I'm
only talking down to you because that's where you're at.
So on Instagram, I posted one of my favorite paintings by Wiley, and taught and said like, hey, I fucking love this painting. It's so cool that his work's gonna be in the National Gallery, Portrait Gallery, and like, here's why this photo's fucking cool. This guy with the cane, and like, it's imitating this direct photo or, you know, portrait from the 17th century of a white, you know, and like, sort of just explaining it in a way that's not cunty.
But Jackie, I mean, you said I don't want to sound like one of those art history majors, but like, you're not an art history major. So to me, that's not really an excuse.
No,
that
I'm not trying to sound like, I know. Okay, well, I don't mean it like that. I don't want to be like, you idiots. This is why this is important and why it's special that this guy painted this painting. But you are
because my point is like, I didn't get that. I didn't get that at first, and I mean, I didn't have like a.
Were you like, why is this ivy back?
I didn't have a strong opinion. I was like, it's kind of interesting. It's like, I mean, like, and I thought, I kind of assumed that it's what it was, meaning like when I saw it and it was kind of like abstract. I mean, it's not really abstract, but again, like.
It's totally different from what is in the.
I was like, it's probably some artsy bullshit. Sure, good job. You know, it's a little different. And it is. So again, like, at least I had that inclination. So that's what I mean. Like, I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know anything about art, but I know enough to be like, it's probably just some artsy bullshit, which it was. And I just mean bullshit in general, not as a negative.
Right.
And so I knew that. So again, yeah, like anyone who's like, oh, why is the ivy there? Well, you just, come on, man. I can't not talk down to you because you're down there. Come up here, and I'll look you in the fucking eyes. Yeah. But as long as you're crawling around on the ground, it's just like, and that's what I mean, but that's why we live in a fucking society that would probably have loved it if the guy just painted his head on like a Ghostbusters body. It would have been like, yeah, best portrait ever. Yes, queen, yes. Ghostbusters, yeah. And then the only people mad. You ruined my childhood. There's only 4 Ghostbusters. Now ruined my childhood. Stranger Things.
There's only one black Ghostbuster.
Oh, it's just like.
And then the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man comes in and ruins the city.
And also, it's a portrait going up somewhere you'll never go.
You'll never.
So you always have the great option that exists throughout American society to not give a shit and move on with your fucking life. So, but I think that's why I was bringing up. I remembered what we got back to. The full route was when you almost called fucking Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas. It's the swastika. It doesn't mean it's good that he calls her that. It's awful, but there's something catchy about it.
Well,
I mean, that's what he's the master of.
And you know, there is a difference between like you could say, like Obamacare. I actively try to not call it Obamacare, right? I'm like the Affordable Care Act.
Again, so it's
catchy.
That's a catchy burn.
I don't think Obamacare was catchy the way that like.
But I mean, it was like that's what
Trump's
it was catchy, meaning Republicans use that because they're like, if you end up not liking this, it's Obamacare. And they knew that Obamacare like had a catchiness to it that and that's what happened. Even Democrats called it that. It just became the, calling tissues Kleenex. It just became what it was, even though it really wasn't that. Like he had a different plan that got chopped. I mean, his plan was probably going closer towards single payer than what we ended up with. So that's my point. Is like that was again that's what we're meme based. Even if you thought Obamacare was good and think the Republicans are sneaky, you probably still called it Obamacare. So you fell for it. The same way, if you're parroting the red hat, you're still creating it as a cultural icon. You're still cementing it as a cultural icon, even by parroting it. Yeah. So, do you want to pee? How bad do you have to pee?
That would be amazing. Do you want to introduce topic 2?
No, give me. I got something I can talk about. Okay. I don't know if I should cut this out. I can't stop the video, so I don't know if I should cut this out of the audio, but I feel like then, yeah, you know what? I'm going to cut it out of the audio because then if you want to know what I talked about, go on over to youtube.com/Justin Golak and find the full video episode to see what I cut out. Dude, I grabbed some food. I was running errands and then I had to swing by the gym. So I wanted to pick up some food on the way to the gym, so I had some fuel in me. So I stopped at this little I wouldn't even call it a diner. It's like a lunch counter. I think that's different than a diner because it's literally that. It's a counter with stools around it. That's the only seating, and then it's got a flat top grill and a deep fryer and like a toaster. I guess those are only like cooking things. The big flat top steel fucking grill. Couple deep fryer baskets in some oil, and then just like a toaster for toast. But I don't know if you can count. And that's it. And then just one guy working it, one server behind the counter. That's a lunch counter, right? That's not a diner. Belmont Snack Shop. I think it's Snack Shop. It's not Snack Shack. I think it's Belmont Snack Shop, not Shack. I don't know. It's right on Belmont and Kimball in Chicago. I guess the Avondale area would probably be technically. And dude, the shit's so fucking good. But it's basic as fuck, but it's like perfectly good because you're watching. I mean, you're just at the counter and the guy's right there just cooking it. So it comes out fucking fresh and you just watch that. Like every short order fucking lunch counter cook looks like a full on opioid addict, but but they got this like weird dirtbag precision to everything they cook. I'm talking about eating at Belmont Snack Shop over there, but like just watching an opioid addict cook your fucking food right in front of you with that fucking precision, that short order cook precision.
So
they're like, I got a fucking I stopped there on the way to the gym and I got like a patty melt and they just got the burger down and they got the little presser on the burger and then they throw your onions down and then they toast your fucking rye bread on that grill. They've got everything cooking separate and then he always puts it together perfectly. He doesn't even put it right on the plate. He puts it on the cutting board, sizes up the bread, gives it a little spatula smash.
So good.
Then just knifes it, puts it on the plate, grabs a couple pickles, puts that on, then shakes your fries in, and I was just like,
it's so good,
it's the perfect meal.
And I love sitting at that like old school diner, and then like
that's what I said. I didn't
they've
even
got
call
like a print of Edward Hubbard's Nighthawks like on the wall.
I mean, would you call it a diner? I called it a lunch counter.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
I think
It's
it's like
not even a
it's
diner.
not even a diner because it's
You
got
like
you
sit
sit
at
at
the
the
bar
counter
on a
or
stool
you
and
take
you
it to
eat real
go.
fast and then you
And
go.
everything I got beautiful giant patty melt, and then their fries are fresh cut and like perfect fresh cut fries. I mean,
Yeah.
fresh cut fries are hard to mess up. These are good, dude. $8.81, and then like I tipped
Oh,
it.
it's so cheap.
This lady was super attentive and just this nice,
Oh.
kind of just Polish built 50-year-old lady. So I was like $8.81. I gave her $3. I went way over 20%, but you're $12 for like just this beautiful
Did you put it
fucking
in your budget?
sandwich. Put it in my budget, bitch. So, and I don't know. I just think if I could do any job, like those dream, like like maybe I make a bunch of comedy money because I don't want to ever need it. That's what makes comedy unfun. Is I need fucking money to buy fucking patty melt. So it's just like stress. Like, yeah, I'll fucking drive to fucking Michigan City, Indiana, and get booed at for 25 minutes for $150. I fucking need it. So I don't think I'd ever want to need to be like a lunch counter cook, but like if I just had a job where I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do comedy for free. You know what, I'll just do it for free. I got enough money. You know what? If you want to see me, just I don't know. Tickets are like $10. That'll cover my air travel. But I don't need to. I don't even need to profit. I just need to break even. I just want to create. I'm just doing it for free. Or I'll keep doing the podcast. Something that's a little more. And then I'll just go to like a lunch counter, like especially that one because that one always seems like kind of slow. So I'm never gonna be behind the weeds. You know. And I'll just be like, hey, just your slowest shift, the one no one wants because it sucks. Like a 12 to 4
Would you be a
shift.
cook or a waiter?
No, I was like, can I just rock the flat top, just like 3 days a week, just pay me minimum wage, just for legal reasons. But I got enough. I just wanna. That's all. You got the deep fryer and the flat top. You just work that flat top, onions, the burger, the bread.
And you got that tiny little TV right
And then
here that you can watch.
I had a job in high school. I worked at Penn Station, which I think it's probably regional, so I don't know if a lot of people know, but it's a sandwich shop. But they cook all the meat on the grill, then you bread it, and then you run it through one of those little conveyor ovens, so it's like a toasted sub. But you always start out, you put the meat down, then you got your 2 metal spatulas, you're like clink, 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 chopping it up. Then you get everything off, and there's that little black mark, and then you take a little scraper and scrape down the grill.
Yeah.
So satisfying. Talk about relieving entropy. You have all this black. You get like a lunch rush. You have all these black marks, and then you just like, and then it's like clean again. You just feel it feels good. You're like, just something satisfying about scraping it off. And I'm just like, that's the only cooking job that seems fun. Is just like you're not in some busy fancy kitchen where you're like, I don't know, manipulating sugar crystals or something. You're just heating up. You got a giant flat metal surface, and you throw stuff on it to make it hot, and then you just kind of put it together, put it on a plate. It just seems it's like
I know, but there was surprisingly
good. It's like the flat top's like the urban campfire. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where you put it on the spit and you roast it over a campfire like a caveman. It's the urban version. It's a fat piece of fucking hot metal, and you just throw shit on it till it gets hot, and then you construct it together. You send it. I just want to work the fucking flat top. That seems so satisfying. I miss it, but not really miss it because it's not like the best job. But it's just satisfying. That's why I wouldn't want to do it to fucking pay rent because then it'd take all this fun out of it. I just want to do it for fun. Maybe again, even if I had enough money, maybe I'll just get a food truck with a flat top. Just drive around, just
Why don't you just
sell
get a
food
flat
at
top
cows.
for here and then
I do. All right. So remember I told you like our next place. I already have a kitchen idea. They sell like electric flat tops that you can like set on your counter, but they're still like big enough you could work it.
Just
Like
do that.
it'd probably be about.
I'll post up on a stool.
It'd probably be almost the size of this desk. It would be decently sized, maybe a little smaller. And you put it just next. You put it next to the stove. It could work, and it's work the flat top for you. Make you That's why it's all meals. Make you eggs. Make you pancakes on that thing. Then lunch, make you a nice fucking burger. Then at dinner, just fucking flat top up some fucking steaks. Yeah, baby. Or some just like shaved turkey. Put it on bread, a little gravy. Open faced turkey. Mwah. Are you ready to do topic 2?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, mine's
Hold on, because I told to encourage traffic to the video site. I said that if they wanted to hear my flat top talk, I didn't know that's what it was going to be. That they have to watch the video because I'm going to cut this out of the audio just so it flows clean in audio. But I can't. It's easy I edit the audio, but this is going out live, so I can't stop it. So it'll be on the video, our little talk, but I'm going to cut this out of the audio. So it's just going to cut from
Oh,
you
nice.
leaving to topic 2.
Pee break.
So just quick pause, and I'll reintroduce you, and then you can introduce topic 2. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, video people. See, this is why you go to youtube.com/Justin Golek. Hit that subscribe button, baby.
Do it.
All right, so Jackie's back. Did you have a good pee?
I had a great pee, thank you.
All right, let's get into topic 2. That's your topic. Hit it up.
Oh, cool. So mine is really simple this week. I just want to talk about, we binge watched Queer Eye.
Yeah, it's just
it's just Queer Eye, this new.
It's Queer Eye for the straight guy, but I think, yes, it's just called Queer Eye now.
This is just Queer Eye, just Jack, just Queer Eye.
Yeah, they tightened it up.
So Netflix put out a new season with the new Fab Four, and we blazed through it. We loved it. It was so good. I just want to talk about, I wore my bomber in honor of like their million bombers. They wear so many bombers. So cool.
So good, though.
Yeah, so I just am interested in sort of why you really like. I mean, I know why I liked it. It was like,
well,
it reminded me of why I was going to. It reminded I was persisting despite your talking over me. I've been so Sarah Silverman show, I Love You America. It's good, and like we watch it. It's fine. But I feel like this show hit on what that is trying to hit emotionally, like the chord is trying to hit emotionally more naturally and like humorously.
We talked about that, and I posted about this on Facebook saying like it's the best show on Netflix, and then someone said something similar like oh, this show just is like it's what America needs right now. And then I kind of, because we had talked about it, so I kind of like aped that statement. I was like, and because I agreed with you and we had talked about it, I replied back to her like, this is like Sarah Silverman's show, but better. Or it's like, all right,
you stole my idea. Why
we
didn't
had
you
talked
tag me
about
in
it because it was a mutual idea.
Was she like, that's so brilliant?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. It's your idea. No, that was my thought. Well, because I feel like
it was our idea. I'll give you credit.
I just called it out first, but I feel like that's what.
Here's what I'll say about the idea. You know, when you do like a movie and you do like story by and written by, I think it's written by you, but I think story by me.
Do not take credit.
I'm not taking credit. I'm just saying I contributed.
I said this is like what I feel like I wanted or like kind of felt with I Love You America, but this really hit.
I know I said other things. And
Jesus
then I
Christ.
stole it for
doesn't
Facebook.
Matter. You are.
I'm just saying we both talked about it, so I just wanted to bring. I'm just saying that's why I wanted to bring it to the conversation because like we had talked about this, so let me insert this in the conversation. But I thought I'm just saying I thought I had the right to not cite you.
So
each
episode, if I never watched the original, but
I'd only seen like 6-7 episodes maybe.
They go to a man who has been nominated house, apartment, job, and teach him ways to
suck dick.
No, to have more confidence by learning about food and wine, learning about culture, learning how to dress better for his body.
Yeah.
And they redesign his home.
They have 5
like
gays,
a makeover.
5 gays, and it's food and wine, culture,
grooming,
fashion, grooming, and
Design.
Yeah,
they like
they
redo
do
their house. Yeah. And I loved it because these
it's like a life makeover.
Were so fun and like it didn't feel like, and to their credit too, I felt like the straight men whose lives they were invading and making over were so kind and like welcoming, and there can naturally be some tension there about homosexuality, right? And even the most religious one, I felt like they forced that storyline because the guy was like, yeah, we don't care. We love God, and God said love people.
But I thought it came across natural because the gay that talked to him about it was like, I was very religious growing up, so I just wonder what your thoughts are.
Yeah, but I felt the more like dynamic episode was when they went and made over a cop who had a Make America Great Again hat, and like him talking to the black member of the Fab Five, and like that conversation just was interesting.
What was his name? Camaro. Was it straight Camaro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Camaro. I don't fucking know.
Something like that. It was cool. It was a pretty cool last name.
He had the coolest bombers.
Dude, I want that guy's closet.
I
straight
feel
up.
like I've always said I don't really get behind the "future is female" slogan. For a lot of reasons, but I just don't think that. I think there is something to manhood that is beautiful. And this show really embraces that and helps straight men who might feel unable or not given the space or or know how to live in that manhood in a way that is not misogynistic, but also confidence building and something that they are proud of, right? And again, I think that the distinction that they make here is like, yes, they're helping men, but it just sort of is like when we allow you to be whoever you want to be, and there's not like you're a man so you have to do this. It's more just like, hey, you identify as a man, you want more confidence. Here's one way you can do it. It's not even like to be a man you have to do this, or to be let the gay men come in and fix this, right? Like it just felt like a GQ live episode, right? Like here's how to tie your tie. Here's how to wear skinny jeans that fit your body. And it felt so and part of that wasn't the gay men trying to like force this on them. It was the straight men being like, yeah, cool, thanks. Like I'd like to know this. And like I don't know.
I knew it as I mean, like I said, I'd seen it like 6 or 7 times now. So I'm not versed in the old one.
Of the old one, you mean?
But I don't remember it being
that emotional.
Yes.
Okay.
Or ever really going that deep.
I mean, we sobbed in every episode.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to at me on Twitter and be like, yeah, I cried every original episode, and they always talked about big issues. But I thought it was more of a straight makeover show, which this has plenty of and I don't mean straight like sexual, just like straightforward makeover show.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this definitely had some straightforward makeover show aspects to it. Obviously, that's the thread that pulls the fucking thing. But I thought what they kind of did with talking to people about different social issues, and then just like, but also like connecting with them on a personal level.
Like why are you hiding?
Asking personal questions, but also like revealing personal things about themselves. Like, yeah, dude, I fucking sobbed every episode.
Oh, I thought that was
like
interesting.
A fucking baby. It was so beautiful.
Seeing men connect on that emotional level in a way that wasn't patronizing and wasn't to sell the show either. It felt so genuine, right? Like it didn't feel like it was genuine. Like we're on a makeover show, so now we have to talk about your feelings. Like it didn't. It wasn't
like those guys genuinely loved each other at the end of every episode.
Yeah, and the straight men too, and like
well, that's what I mean. All of them together.
I haven't seen that on TV before. Do you know? Like I always talk about how like I feel like on reality shows before the men interacting, they're like lifting weights or they're passing a football around, and then they don't really dig into it either, and how naturally it just seemed to happen with these straight men being like, well, here's what's going on, and not in like a weepy way either. Like it wasn't like over dramatized.
It was not. I mean, it was. We were crying, but there wasn't a ton of crying on the screen. It was just like I said, it felt so honest real. And open, and so like. Yeah, I just remember like, like we're dealing with snowpocalypse, even though that never really came about. But we planned on just kind of staying in all this last weekend because we were like, the roads will be bad. Let's just grab some food and kind of plan on getting stuff done around the house. And so I was like, oh, there's a new Queer Eye. That's kind of interesting. I'm like, the old one is all right. It's just Saturday afternoon.
I didn't want to like it.
Let's just, fine, we'll just watch a fucking makeover show. Like, let's just see if it, and like also this thing is like, oh, it's a reboot of that show. Like, maybe it'll even just suck because it's like a remake, like those can always suck and maybe that'll be funny. I didn't really even expect to watch more than one episode, maybe two, just to like plow through some time. And then, after that first episode, I was like, I want to watch every episode of that show. And when we're done with it, which only took like 18 hours, I fucking was like, I feel emotionally exhausted, but in like the best way. I feel like the way after you like run a bunch, like, or you work out real hard and you're like, I'm tired, but I feel like good. Like, I feel like I did something. I feel like I worked out shit during Queer Eye.
Yeah.
Everyone should fucking watch it and rewatch it so we can get like 22 more episodes. Hopefully by the end of this year.
And I just love this because you and I have talked about toxic masculinity and how I think that's a very real idea and something that hurts men as much. I
still don't like it though.
Hurts men as much as it hurts women, right? But I felt like this show was about I felt like it was post that. It was amazing because it was like, not like, okay, we need to deny our masculinity. It was more like, what does masculinity mean to you?
But
okay, let's talk through how to make that work for you in a way that makes you feel so
But
confident.
my point is, if a woman acts inappropriate based off nature or nurture or society or genetics or whatever factors, and a woman acts awful, do you call it toxic femininity, or do you just say those are bad behaviors for a human to exhibit? They're not helpful to the person, and they hurt society as total.
It's not like
So
calling out masculinity. It's saying
but why not
the
call?
things that are hurtful because of.
Why not just call it toxic behavior? And you could even go further, just be like, and there's certain toxic behavior that more men display than women. But why even use the word masculinity? To me, that's purposeful bullshit. That's purpose. It's because
Okay,
it's.
well, I didn't want to get in a conversation
Well, but
about.
it's why not? You brought up masculinity, and honestly, it's something I really want to talk about. So you brought that up. You were talked about toxic masculinity. I think what that is, like what that word represents, is real. Meaning there are behaviors that kind of society sometimes encourages or at most sometimes like just looks past and just allows, that are damaging to the people doing them and the people around them. But I don't think calling it toxic masculinity is fair.
Okay.
I think that's clearly that that's clearly coined and perpetuated by people that have no care or at least a mild, if not greater, disdain for masculinity as a whole. And that's why they're using the word masculinity even in that phrase, when they could just easily call it toxic behavior or toxic behavior exhibited by some men. Why not just call it that? Why do you have to use the word masculinity? You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, beyond that, I feel like we've already had that issue on this podcast. More so,
We talked
I'm
about
interested
it, but we didn't
in
talk
what,
about the
I'm interested in
semantics
what
of that
I
word,
think though that beyond that, there's discussion that gender is dead, right? That it's over. Gender is over.
Yeah.
And I like that this doesn't say that. This says like gender is whatever you want it to be.
But that's the thing.
Right?
It's
like not that it's over, but
so
that
you got a copy of Ms. Magazine, and it's in the bathroom, and on the cover it says what?
Smash the patriarchy.
Well, but you sighed.
Because I hit this thing.
Oh, okay. So I was just saying. So on the cover, yeah, it says "Smash the Patriarchy," and then the little subhead is how is the solution to stopping misogyny is a strong feminist movement. And I was like, I don't think that's true at all. Like, I think to me, that's what's broken about the approach in total. To me, the end of misogyny is to embrace real masculinity, which is healthy on its face. Or again, embrace healthy behavior and embrace healthy behaviors in men. But I think that masculinity, what it really is a set of overall healthy behaviors that are natural to men. And that's why I think that now that we're kind of I think we're past homosexuality in a lot of ways that we weren't even 10 years ago when the original aired.
Right.
So these characters had to be like, hello. I mean, and you got some of that for sure. I mean, there's some funny elements to this show for sure. I mean, and that's again what was great about it, is it wasn't just, like you said, overly dramatic. There was some comedy, there was some just straightforward makeover things like this is how you make your hair look better. And there was some dramatic moments
too, right? Like that you
no,
can
but
be...
yes, but that for sure. But it was more so that no one seemed like a caricature, and because of that, the gimmick was less than it was in the old show.
Yeah.
So they were gay, and that's why even one of the guys that they helped was gay. So again, the lines were blurred of like of being this gimmick where it's like hi, and you have some guy that's like I like hunting. Oh, I don't know even what hair gel is. Like you kind of lost that gimmick of it.
Yeah.
And so the gimmick is kind of there because it's borrowing from this previous show that had said gimmick. But to me, it was just like men. Really, the show was about men helping men. And the gay was a real afterthought, a complete afterthought. So that's why I thought this show was just a beautiful championing for masculinity. It was men helping men, and you don't see that on TV.
You don't see that on TV. You don't see men asking for help. And even though these men were nominated, they were like, even if it was at the end where they're like, thank you for helping me, like I've been in a really dark place and like this just helped me see life in a new way, right? Like that's fucking beautiful and like kind of feels revolutionary to see on reality TV happening
But to
between
me,
men.
yeah,
And I think that this, so maybe the, I don't want to say the future is female because I don't think those are like specifically feminine
they're
things.
literally not.
I know they're just healthy behavior, right? But like I feel
But
like this is, can I finish? I feel like this is an example of how when these walls start to break down and we live in a genderless society, we are able to be like, not men, we don't hold them to the standard where they can't talk about these things.
But my
The
point is,
best
it's
things
already
about
built
women are
in.
coming
It's
into
built
this,
into
right?
masculinity. No, that's not. That's the wrong. It's built into masculinity. Like my point is like that's all they're doing. Like it's already built. If you think about the most macho, kind of goofy.
I know, but women have
Oh
been
my
allowed
god.
to do that for a
No,
long
but
time.
just let me goddamn say my fucking thing. I'm saying that if you look at even just the most generic versions of masculinity, that's all this really is. It's not a move forward. It's a parallel move. It's just through a different prism based on the kind of time we live in. Like when you think of masculinity, like again, one thing you think about, one thing I think about, again, of a generic thing is just like, the guy like like carrying his wounded buddy off the battlefield because like I don't leave a partner behind, I don't leave a man behind. And that's what, to me, that's what this show felt like. It felt like these men who I'm sure have their own problems, everyone does, but had, it's literally saying like, I have it together with fashion, I have it together with cooking, I have it together. They had these specialties where they're like, hey, I might have a bad this or a bad that, and I'm working on this and I'm going to therapy, but I'm pretty good at this. And then you have a guy who's like literally wounded on the battlefield of life, like my house is a wreck, my wardrobe's a wreck, my social life's a wreck, like I don't know anything. And you have these men going like, I'm not going to leave you here to die. So to me, like, it's not about gay and it's not about even being more feminine, because it's, to me, it's like literally men helping men, which I think is ultra masculine. It's not,
I,
there's no feminization in
what
that.
I was saying, Justin, if you let me finish, was that women have always been allowed to have these friendships. It's been
Right.
almost to the point, almost to a fault, right? Like that we have to help each other, like we have to be friendly to each other. So I like that. I feel like both those barriers are softening. Where like women, I feel like more and more. So it's like, yes, you should be kind, right? But like you don't have to fucking stay in a friendship that's unhealthy for you and
Right.
that's not working. And men,
Yeah.
you can actually build friendships and talk
But I
about
think it's like
things.
that. I don't think that's, again, that's what I kind of get mad about when, especially women who aren't men. I mean, and I think this is fair to say because women say this about men talking about women. I don't think you know what it's like to be a man, and that's the same thing. It's like, again, I don't think that's law. I mean, again, you think of like men coming back from war and thinking, or even again, like, to stop using war, like sports, like we watched that 30 for 30 about Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells and the way they talk about, their connection because they were on these Super Bowl teams together and stuff. And it's like there's closeness there. And I think the difference is it's not that we're making men more feminine. It's, again, we're reframing where masculinity can take place. Because the point is that is the problem with the narrative. It's that, it's 2018, like, you're not going to be in a foxhole facing gunfire. Even if you're in the military, like, it's just not the same kind of war, and not everyone's going to be in a professional football league. But it's this idea of like, but the same friendships that are formed in those extreme as fuck conditions, you can also form those in the less extreme condition, but important condition of that your buddy's depressed because he's, he doesn't feel good about his body, and he doesn't feel good because he's not in a relationship, and he's depressed. He has depression and he's fighting that battle. And you can form bonds through those hardships just like you can with gunfire
Yeah.
and fucking, too deep coverage or whatever. Like you can still form. And so that's, again, to me, it's just like, that's what men need in 2018, and that's what masculinity needs. It needs a reframing. It needs to be like, look, the world's changing. So how do these good things that men did under these, in a way different world, how do we fucking recalibrate that so men can use those tools? And so that's why it's like, when it's like feminism's going to cure misogyny, it's like, no, it's not. It's not, because misogyny is just hate. Misogyny is the same. It doesn't have to do with women. It's hate. And what does all hate come from? It comes from disillusioned people. You hate blacks because your life is out of order and you need to blame it on them. And that's why you're not getting laid because it's fucking women are this and fuck women. It's that hate. When you would literally get rid of that hate if you just had someone be like, dude, you're not getting women because you're fucking gross. And because you're gross, you're sad. And it's like all these other things. And as soon as you trim that away, dude, you'll be socially fine and you'll get women and then you won't hate them because you're not trying to blame someone else for your shortcomings. And the way you can make men elevate themselves is, again, yeah, by having men be masculine and not being afraid. And even just some of the language they use of like, of telling these men, like, again, like, hey, I know it's hard for you to share your feelings, but you need to be brave enough to share them. So again, that language of like, there's strength. If sharing your feelings is hard, then overcoming that to share them is strong and brave. And again, very masculine, very all-time male, axioms, being strong, being brave. And so they never try to frame it of like, you need to be more emotional. They're like, you need to have the strength to overcome your fear of what being emotional means, or of saying these things to someone you love or to whatever. Right. So,
well, and I think that absolutely, and I love that part of it, and I think that's so healthy and the way we can communicate. And I also think there's a lot for women to learn watching this, traditional women, like me. See, okay, so like, for example,
you mean cis women?
no, just, I mean, like, speaking of female friendships compared to male friendships. And like I was saying earlier, just that idea of like, well, you have to be nice to one another, or like support, or like, and that's just not conditioning. It's also like, I know what you are going through, woman. Like, I understand and I will help you. Or like, I know what it's like to have been in that position. I'll help. Though, what I was really struck by watching this was there was one episode where the one guy just felt so desperate and like far gone that I was like, oh no, they're going to make fun of him. And I was so worried that this guy was going to get picked on by these beautiful gay men. And I was like thinking like, oh, I would just be like, it's okay, Johnny, or whatever his name, I don't know what his name was, but like, just awful.
Which episode was it? Just so I can remember.
Oh, the stand-up comic.
Okay.
And I was like, remember thinking like, oh no, he's fine how he is. It's society that's fucked up, that they don't understand. And to an extent, that is true. Society is fucked up that we don't understand the nerds of our world, right? Or that we don't make space for kids who don't get into sports but they're into fucking art. Like all of that can be true, right? But clearly this had isolated him and he was shy and like just dopey, right? And like to the point where he just lived in his parents' basement, or they moved him to the basement. But I remember thinking like, oh man, I feel like my like girl friendships are so supportive. They wouldn't really know how to handle a situation like this. It'd be like either you sort of just ignore that person, or like it's okay, Johnny, we love you no matter what, or like you'll find a man who loves you for you. Do you know what I mean? And what I loved,
that's toxic femininity.
What I loved about that episode was the gay men, yeah, they like poked fun at him a little bit, but
for
like
sure.
he like jabbed back a little bit. It was still like friendly, and like I just thought there was something so loving and kind about being like, bro, you gotta cut your fucking hair and wash your clothes. And that just felt so like radical to me as far as female friendships. Like I wouldn't, well, women wash their clothes, but like, do you know what I mean? Like we don't really we're kind of afraid to say, at least the friendships I've encountered, you're not really honest in a lot of ways about different things. And that's complicated. That comes from a lot of different reasons. Again, like I think, sometimes when women talk about their relationships with men, and like, I've been in super unhealthy relationships and I've been part of the problem. But like if a female friend ever said that to me, that I was part of the problem, I'd ditch her. Like I just feel like we don't, there's a lot to be learned here, I think, as far as like how friendships can, like what is more of a friend, to like help someone through a hard time by like holding them accountable to themselves, you know, like holding a standard that they then reach. I don't know. I like that. I thought that was cool. And like that's what I want to be to friends and like friends to be to me.
Well, and that's why I mean, I just think it's like a good example again of why masculinity is important and that feminism can't solve the problems that men have. And again, like, uh, like only masculinity can solve men's problems. And if men solve their problems, the world will be better. Just like if human beings solve their
Well,
problems, they'll be less toxic to the world in general. And so my point was, I think that's what was refreshing. It was showing that again, these men, by virtue of being gay, weren't bringing feminine energy or ideas to these men. They were bringing very masculine ideas to these men
or just
to
no
fix
longer
these men.
no longer gendered things, right? Like food and wine is not gendered. Like
I wouldn't even say that. Like,
I just don't think it's fair to
I
say that feminism didn't have any role in this. Like, how did we get to a point where 5 men can like be gay and like teach a straight man something? That's from movements like feminism.
I think that's another rejiggering where we're saying that just because you fuck a man, that's sexuality. That's not masculinity.
No, our culture could get to a point where that's accepted, though, that we could have a TV show like this.
That's my point. My point
it's
was
been the breaking down of these gender roles that has come through feminism.
I don't think that's true at all because
I think it is.
I think it's 100% not true. I think it's because that there was enough soft hate towards gay men that if you're gay, then you're feminine. And I think that was never true. And I just think in 2018, with this show, we're allowed to see that. And I think that the men in the old show did act more feminine. But again, it's not because they were. It's because society told them, like, you're pretty much like women because you're gay. And so they just played into that, not as gay men, but as gay men on a TV show that are supposed to play this role, to make society comfortable, as actors, essentially. And now I don't think there's that.
That was entertaining.
I don't think there's that
it's
pressure.
It's not as entertaining anymore.
I just don't. That's true too. But I also just think we've progressed enough that gay men don't have to be women. They can just be men who happen to fuck men instead of women. But they're still men. And I think that gay men even more so because there's not that social pressure. I mean, some are a little more, quote unquote flamboyant or whatever you want to call it. But even the more flamboyant ones, I'm just like, you seem like men. You just happen to fuck men, but you seem like a lot of just normal straight guys I know. It's in terms of like your values and the way you communicate and all these things. You seem like straight men that I've known. So I think that like again, like the energy you have is super, super masculine, solely masculine in a lot of ways. And again, you're helping men.
How so? What do you mean their energy felt masculine?
Because like again, it felt about strength and like you said, it felt about strength and like again, that was their narrative.
I don't know. I feel like those are very in the feminist movement. You see a lot of that, like self-empowerment, being strong, like vulnerability is strength. I don't think those are masculine things. I think that's the language of our culture that's becoming more progressive.
Yeah, but I think I don't think you can demand.
I mean, come on, women talk all the time about being strong, like.
But I don't think you can. But that to me, I don't think you can dismiss the language of it. I think women talk about being strong, but it's not the same. It's just like I said, I can't describe it. I can't. When I just was like, no, there's something different, man. There's something fucking different, and you know that there's an unnaturalness to that fucking narrative of women can do it because they fucking can't. Like all men can beat up all women. You're not physically strong.
Justin, it's not. We're not talking about physical strength. I'm not like I'm fucking strong and I can beat you. I'm talking that I'm a strong person. I'm our breadwinner. That takes strength. Like that's strength.
You guys do it different. You just do it different. Like I'm just saying the way you get to things, even just in the language that someone has to pump you up with, it's always slightly different, but it plays into masculinity and femininity. Neither one's better. I'm just saying as a man, it's nice to see men with problems, men that are more put together helping those men with problems, and they're using the language and energy of men and masculinity. That was fucking good to see, because usually there has to be a woman there getting you together. So this like mommy figure, which is not empowering men, which is not making them better to the women around them, just to bring in this mommy figure to fix them. Or it has to be again like the old show where it's men essentially aping female qualities, and that was that's society's fault at that point, partially because of how we viewed gay men. But to me, this was men who are masculine helping a man, and him overcoming it through masculinity. And so again, I just think you can't. I just think that article, I think that subheadline is literally just is not true. It's a false sentence to say that the cure for misogyny is a feminist movement. I don't think that's true at all.
It's kind of disappointing to hear you say all of this, because I feel like the whole point
Why?
the whole point was that I didn't think that language felt gendered, and that was the whole point.
Because you're not a man.
Justin, I have heard everything that they say. I've heard a woman say. Maybe it comes, honestly, I've heard it in my sobriety circles. Like, it's because it's talking about self-empowerment and like strength and holding your, again, like personal responsibility for your life. I've heard that language from women. Like, I think it's so strange to say that that's like you're dealing with it through masculinity.
I'm just saying, as a man, the way they framed it, it's slightly, the energy even, it's just fucking different than how women talk to men and how women talk to each other. And that's why, like, when I watched it, I was like, if I was one of these guys, I would respond to this.
Yeah.
And I know why the feminization of men that's happening in some circles now isn't working. Why men are either not responding to it or why they're just becoming infants. That's why. And that's why it's like you need masculinity to fix men. Because if a woman and femininity tries to fix men, you're either going to infantilize them, and that's how you have all these just kind of weak men. They're not even beta men. That is like unhealthy talk. Call them beta men. They're child men. They're man children. Or they just become resentful, that you've demonized their way of thinking, and then that's where you get these red pill guys. So you either got little gooey men or fucking just beast men. And I think that's why, like, these men and the men they help, again, are just strong, productive, intelligent, and caring members of society, but in a way that feels masculine to me. And again, I think there are biological differences in men and women, and I think that displays itself in men and women acting slightly different. But I agree, I'm a liberal. I don't think that there are these giant, massive tidal wave contrasts between men and women. That's why you can say, like, I've heard women say things like that. Yeah, like that, because we really aren't that different. But as a man, I'm just like, this is how guys talk to guys. And it felt good to see that on TV. And you can be like, it sounds like stuff I've heard. It does, because we're not that different. But I'm telling you, as a man, it's not the same. And that's how we need to talk to men, to make them less hateful, to make them more a better contributor to society, and to make them just...
How can women... So are you saying that women can't talk to men on that level? Because the way you're making it sound that is only men can help men.
Dude, not in a way that's like hateful. Not like there's no women that can do it and every man is inherently just like blessed with the ability to do it. But I'm just saying, like, masculinity helps men more than femininity or feminism helps them by a lot. But we've just thrown out the baby with the bathwater, and there really is this line of thinking that, like, all male thought is inherently bad and rapey, so we need to isolate men from that, and even better, we need to get women in there and kind of, just fucking baptize them with the sweet, sweet water of feminine culture and femininity. Mm-hmm. And it's like they won't respond to that. Like, they'll either just feel infantilized by it, or they'll grow to hate it because they'll feel like you're making them hate themselves, which you kind of are, and then they'll resist against that. Which, again, I'm not justifying that behavior. I'm just explaining why it's happening. Mm-hmm. And that's why, again, like, a good father can create a good fucking, a good next man in the line. And again, it's like you said, so a woman can't talk, and so the same argument.
I wasn't saying
so
it in that
the same
tone,
argument. Can a single mother not raise a good man? She can, But I guarantee if you dig, there's a coach, there's a priest, there's a neighborhood fucking nice old man. There's someone directed him in how to be a good man. And there is a lot of crossover in men and women. So a woman, a mother, can raise a good person, but someone's got to be in there, some masculine energy. Maybe it's just a hyper masculine woman. You know what I mean? Like I said, but masculine energy needs to shape that man, at least 15 to 20% of him. And without that, you'll have the 80% formed good from just raising him as a good person, but he'll go one of those two ways that I talked about. It'll get messy. Or is that even just a good friend, just a good male friend? Something. You need something. And men crave it. But again, I'm sure the same way women do. I'm sure you sought female guidance from like older experience, like again, either a mother or an aunt or a teacher,
I don't know, it's
like,
really interesting.
or even a celebrity.
You saying that like you had someone teaching you to be a good man. I'm like, oh, who taught me to be a good woman, or what does that even mean? And it's weird. I didn't hear anything you just said because I've been thinking about like when I was a kid, good woman had a very different meaning from what good woman meant in my 20s, from what I was surrounded by, right? Like good woman as a kid was about being a good wife, a good Catholic, a good caretaker, right? Like it was never about you as a person. And then in my 20s, it was like a good woman is someone who stands up for herself, who is strong, who takes care, she's independent. And I believe both of those things, but it's funny how I feel like being a good man, like I know exactly what that looks like and how that can flex for different types of men. Right? But like woman, I don't know.
Can I throw out this theory based on what I know about your life and just kind of make you think about what I mean? Because I think you've experienced this in some ways, and it seems like even more so by the way you're talking. Like, I'm not saying you had like a bad mother or something, but I'm saying clearly something was missing in your definition of femininity / womanhood. Maybe it wasn't that you weren't given guidance from a maternal figure, but you were not given it in a way that felt satisfactory. You're like, I've been told what, but it seems wrong or it doesn't seem fulfilled.
It was the culture of where I was.
But either way, so it was lacking.
Yeah, right.
So no woman could have done it well. And it wasn't a shortcoming of them as people. It was a shortcoming of
where I was.
It was a shortcoming of what they internalized womanhood to be. Right. It was doomed from the start. But either way, you had that lacking. The same way a man might lack because his father's not around or because whatever, 100 different reasons why he feels this gaping hole of masculinity that he needs masculinity to fill. In that same way, you found feminism in college. And do you not think that feminine energy kind of gave you, again, that as a woman getting feminine energy from like an authority, like like a woman studies teacher, or even just even maybe just a book by a feminist, and you're like, oh, this kind of celebrity. Some people look at celebrities or public figures like, okay, her knowledge in this book is giving me feminine guidance, like, and it's kind of teaching me how to be a good woman. And I'm looking for how to be a good person from all parts of life, all genders, all energy, how to be a good person. But there's this 15-20% part of me that I want to know what it means to be a good woman. And this femininity that I'm getting from feminism and women's studies in colleges, to me, it's the way you talk about being invigorated. I get that. And so it's that same way that I wish that the fucking guy with no dad around, or with a shitty dad or whatever, I wish he could go to college and have healthy male groups or healthy male healthy male, classes, or even like fuck the curriculum. I don't need a men's studies major like some sort of MRA guy, but just men's groups or men's clubs where they could, like, I don't know, just teach these guys how to be a man from a man. Because like I just feel like my mom, my parents were divorced, and I lived with my mom, but my dad was around. He wasn't a deadbeat. It just, you got to live with one, and you usually live with your mom. I lived with my mom. She was a good person. So I felt like she taught me to be a good person. And it's like you said, it's not like my dad gave me these profoundly unique male lessons. But I just know he talked to me as a burgeoning man from a grown-up man, just the energy he gave with his basic lessons that seem human and generic, just seem like, well, that doesn't seem gendered. But I'm telling you, the energy he gave me, I'll always cherish his fatherhood, because I just know he gave me 15% of something, even if it was generic, non-gendered lessons. Just his energy gave me something that my mom, as amazing as she was, never could. There's that 15% that he needed to do. And if he had died or been a deadbeat or whatever, I would have seeked it from someone else. And hopefully, again, I would have got it from someone good and not from some,
Well, that's why I think that having spaces for whatever your identity is important to protect, right?
For
Because
sure.
feminism, like, I mean, kind of what you're saying is true, I guess. But like,
I
I
guess.
mean, but moreover, it just was so incredible to have cool, smart women who thought the way I did, sort of not just reaffirming what I believe, but teaching me what they thought, or pointing out things that like I kind of knew were fucked up, but like didn't have the vocabulary or like insight to really like be woke to, I guess. And so, but having that, it's sort of like why I love art. When you find a good piece of art and you're like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. Like someone else feels this pit in their stomach, right? That's what it felt like. And it was a relief. It was everything to me.
But it
Hold
didn't
on.
feel
What I'm
extra.
saying, what I'm
Okay.
going to say is that I support then that men have those. The argument would be like, well, men all have all those spaces all the time, but I don't think that's true. Not in the way that feminism to me was women talking to each other. It's the same way I don't go if I go to an AA meeting, I'll go to the women's only one
Yeah.
because I want to talk to people. This my addiction issues come from very gendered experiences and problems, right? Like that's nothing really traumatic happened to me except me being a woman. Those things created what has been traumatic, right? And like I want to talk to people who at least fucking understand my anger or some even if it's something stupid who will get it, right? And like that is a space for me to feel I don't want to say safe space, but Jesus Christ it is. And like I feel like that's okay. There are men's AA. Again, like I feel like it's just funny how like AA has gotten to the brass tacks of humanity because it has to, because you're gonna fucking die if you don't figure this shit out, right? So they have men's groups, they have women's groups, they have joint groups, whatever. Fucking just get to one that works for you and fucking fix it. And they speak in language that is again like felt like this. I mean, and so I don't know if I again like I don't know if I want to call it masculine necessarily, but it is the language of self-empowerment, personal responsibility, of strength. And to me, the point of feminism was that women couldn't do that before. Like, we couldn't empower ourselves, or because we were under circumstances where we weren't able to leverage ourselves up, right? Like, I wouldn't have had the opportunities to become, for example, a breadwinner 50, 60 years ago, right? So that was, I feel like that was the point of feminism, was to get us on equal footing. And now we all have an AA meeting of
But
life
see,
and like go
that's
forward.
kind of my point. My point was in 2018 to have a sub headline that says the only thing that's going to fix misogyny
I mean,
is
it's
a
a
strong
feminist
can
magazine.
but I'm saying that still you have responsibility to be fucking honest and intelligent. And if you say that the only thing to fix misogyny
I don't say that.
is a strong feminist movement, that would literally be like in the 60s being like the only thing that's going to fix the subjugation of women is a strong male movement. Like, it's not true. The reason feminism in the 60s and 70s worked so well is because it was for women by women. It was women leaders talking to women. Like I said, like that's why you pick women's only AA meetings, because like yeah, they might use the same talking points across all genders in the meetings, but I know you're getting a certain energy from the women in that group, from the women that lead that group. It might be fucking minuscule, but I know even though they might be saying the same words and you see connections, I feel like you're getting feminine energy in a way that's important to you, the same way it was important to get life lessons, even if it was about brushing your teeth or, like I said, something generic, from a dad as a man. I just know that was important. And again, look at fucking, again, like take away misogyny. look at just general racism. Like if you look at like these little neo-Nazi groups and stuff, look at how they're constructed all the time. It's men in their 20s, sometimes 30s, preying on boys when they're 15, 16, 17, and it's always a paternal relationship. And that's my point. If you leave men feeling demonized by themselves or other men, or feeling like there's only and the only person they can talk to is women or fucking or nobody, fuck you, they will find some, like if you take away reasonable options, all that's left is the black market. And what's on the black market is basically some guy recruiting you to commit crimes against minorities so his hands can be clean of it. He doesn't go to jail, you go to jail, and he sucks you in by using that paternal relationship that you crave. And you're killing society by not giving men an opportunity to find that without calling them like MRAs. And I know MRAs exist, and some of them are awful, but there is a tendency to call every group of men getting together and talking about things that affect their lives as some sort of bigots and some sort of misogynist. And that's the point. It's like, fine, break up those groups, but you won't take away the need. Again, the illegal drug trade. You outlaw the drugs, people don't stop wanting drugs, and now there's grosser and grosser and dangerous ways to get them. And it's the same thing. If you kill normal masculinity, then you will create a black market for it, and the fucking demons will thrive in that.
Well, and I think that's why, that's why someone, Trump saying grab him by the pussy and then calling it locker room talk. It's like, that's, we know not when men get together, they're not all talking like that. But then it's like, oh, but then this guy just said, like, that's just how we talk.
But that's a perfect example, because what happened, and you can call it grandstanding, and we just talked about that on topic 1. And I'm sure there's a little bit of that, if not a decent amount of that, to be sure. So when I say this next thing, no, I know that. But still, what was the first thing that fucking happened when he said locker room talk? You had coaches from professional sports teams all over the country being like, I've been in a locker room for 20 years, and if anyone talked like that, they would be off my fucking team.
Yeah.
Sure, there was some grandstanding involved in that, but my point is that was men saying, look, I'm not being feminine. I'm not saying we need more women coaches. I'm saying I am a man, and I work with men, and I choose to defend masculinity in a more healthy way, a way that protects women and respects women and doesn't subjugate them or abuse them. I'm setting what masculinity is, but best believe it's not feminine, it's fucking masculine. But I'm defining what masculinity is. And what breaks my heart is that they might get applause from the country, women and men included, for the first day they say that, but then the next day it's fucking, it's women having free reign to be like, these dumb men and their football. And it's like, dude, football, as you can see in 2018, for all its perceived shortcomings that you want to throw on it, is still a way where a lot of men learn positive masculine assets from the only father figure they will ever have in their life. And it's not to push each other because they're just dumb. And they're just, and it's like, fuck you. Fuck you in your face, because in 2018, you have men who probably are progressive, standing up for their version of masculinity, and then all you want to do is have a feminized culture that just calls that dumb and stupid, and they're just dumb, misogynistic jocks, just blah, blah, blah. It's like, fuck you. Fuck you.
I don't think all feminists feel that way.
I think there's a thread of that that's unhealthy, and then you wonder why men go to the demons. It's because you created a black market, and that's where they thrive.
That's why I guess, again, I just think at best you're misunderstanding what feminism is, and at worst, feminism isn't what I think it is. Do you know what I mean? Hold on.
I don't think it's either, but I think it's more of the latter than you might want to give it credit for, and then you can talk now.
I feel like the definition is changing, and it's always evolving, right? Like it's always meant something different to different people. But again, I just feel, because hearing you talk about that stuff, I'm like, yeah, I think that's really true. And again, talk about leveling the playing field, since being sober, I listen to a lot of, because I still get depressed and I can't escape anymore through these vices, right? So I have to find things to lift me up. And the what I used to go to for feminism, finding righteousness or solace or anger, doesn't work for me anymore either, right?
Yeah.
I watch motivational fucking videos on YouTube. It's so lame, but it is so helpful to me to just remember the power that is inside of me and the way this language is that is like, you know, fix yourself first, then you can actually help other people. You are in charge of yourself. Don't let the world dictate. Don't let poverty, don't let race. They never say sex cuz it's always for fucking football players, but like, like don't let those things determine what your life looks like. And I love it. I eat it the fuck up. And it's just it's funny because I am one of those people who's like fucking jacks, but I'm like, oh, I totally fucking get it. Like these are, thinking about the athletes, and but like it's easy to hate those people because someone like Brock Turner gets a free pass for raping a woman because he's a jock. Do you know what I mean? I
Because
know.
he's rich.
I know.
Let's be honest.
Yes,
it's because he's rich.
And right, and that's where we have to dig into it harder, right? Because there are athletes of color who do anything wrong and they're behind bars, right?
Yeah.
But so what I'm saying is like I just feel I feel much more like a humanist the older I get. I'm just like I feel like I want a little bit of everything from these movements and the language that they use and seeing value in all of it, like in using pieces of it when I or someone else I'm trying to help or talk to or explain something to like needs it.
But then I say, if masculinity is the problem, if locker room talk is the problem, if dumb jocks are the problem, then why is the domestic violence rate among professional athletes?
I'm not saying
you are, but what is the narrative? That the NFL has a domestic violence issue. And the rate of domestic violence amongst NFL players is less than the overall percentage in society as a whole. So it's actually lower in that specific population. So why do they have a domestic violence problem? It's because you want them to. It's because when a guy hits its wife, that's its own incident between that guy and his decision making. But when an NFL player hits its wife, that's the culture of violence in football, and that's fucking not true. It's provably by stats not true. And again, you can't say that because people take it the wrong way. I think every incident of domestic violence is its own horrific story and incident that breaks my heart into a million pieces each and every single fucking time. Whether it's a fucking plumber or whether it's a fucking wide receiver. But again, if you're looking for people to fucking demonize as some aberration, some spike in the stats, it's not jocks. It just fucking isn't. You know who it actually is?
Men?
Fucking no, it's fucking police officers.
Oh, really?
Are fucking heroes. Fucking their domestic violence rates are way above the national average. Way above. If you marry a cop, you're getting fucking a right hook at some point in your marriage, statistically.
Yikes.
You can bet on it.
Oh my god.
I wouldn't though, because I bet the money line's so bad on it because the odds are so good that it will happen to you.
That's awful.
You know what? I'll take her jaw and the points.
Oh my gosh. Let's move on.
So, but then again, that's another thing. The military. There you go. That is masculinity. That's bad human behavior. If you want to call it toxic masculinity, you can. But I think.
No, that's manipulation.
But either way, I'm just saying, like military, and the militarization of the police department. That's where you get bad behavior. But that's not masculinity. To me, football is more masculine
Here's
than
the thing,
cops.
though,
Cops
Justin,
are scared.
I
mean, again, how many times do you?
Can we go back to football though for a second? I feel like this. Here's why I think feminism is good, though. I feel like because of the feminist movement, now, for example, the high school I went to, the basketball games. When I was growing up, the girls' basketball games were always on the weekdays, and it was like fucking sucked playing basketball because like your evening was forever. You didn't have time to do homework, and like you just, you went to school the next morning, and it wasn't a big deal. No one came to see your sport, which is whatever. But now, and all the boys played Fridays and Saturday nights. They had prime showing. now they switch on and off. Like girls will do Saturday, boys will do Friday. Then the next week, girls are Friday, boys are Saturday. And I feel like those those subtle ways of saying you don't matter are eliminated, or someone else matters more than you are eliminated, it's easier to like listen to what you're for me personally to watch these videos and be like, oh, these are just athletes, these are boys who are, each one has a different story. One might be an animal, one might be the most like, Rudy of the bunch, right? Like I see them more as humans because I feel like I'm being treated more as a human. And I think feminism, for all its fucking problems, at its best, that's what it can do. Now, again, like we're in such a heated cultural moment, and I don't feel like I get as much from feminism anymore. And like I struggle with that because I'm like, am I leaving the movement when it's not enough for me? Where I've used it and now I'm kind of done with it, or is it because it's changed so much from what I thought it was that I just don't agree with it anymore, or just don't want my name associated with that anymore? I don't know. Both. I'm still working through that, but I
Yeah.
do think that there are positives, and like that's one example.
Well, it's like I said. I mean, yeah, like everyone's worked on by a multitude of factors, both genetic and societal. So that's my point. Is that it doesn't mean that no one that was part of a basketball team will ever do something horrific towards a woman or towards society in general. But I think that way more men are getting help from that environment than hurt. And I would say that the men that come from that environment that act whack are probably getting are probably basing those actions on a stew of influences that aren't the sport or the coaching or the team environment. And also, yeah, another thing never gets brought up, fucking the cops, but also I would leave my fucking sister with a Heisman Trophy candidate for without thinking way more than ever leaving her with a fucking frat brother. And
Yeah.
those fucking criminal organizations are allowed to flourish while we fucking demonize every weird thing that any fucking running back does. So, sports are great.
Okay, let's move on. That's good stuff. I like that topic.
All right, topic 3. So, I don't know if you saw this picture going around before I sent it to you, but there's a picture of Barack Hussein Obama sitting with a microphone, looking like he's being interviewed, and he has a beard. He has a beautiful gray
It looks so good.
beard. And Twitter went crazy over it, but
because he was so handsome.
it did look pretty. It looked pretty sick. So, but it came out womp womp. It was photoshopped. It's not a real pic. So, Obama did not grow a beard. He is still clean shaven. But maybe he'll grow out a beard, seeing as how people react so positively to it. But it made me think: what clean shaven celebrity would you like to see grow a beard?
I would love to see Donald Trump grow like a crazy David Letterman beard. Like he's just going crazy in the Oval Office and like has this golden
his jowls.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I bet he just can't grow a good beard.
Yeah. I never see him with even like stubble or anything.
Right.
Yeah. He is that
that's why he looks so young, I think.
Well, I don't know even what hair is his hair anymore or anything, but he always had like lighter colored hair, so he might not might have pretty fair, thin beard hair. I don't know.
That's my pick. Who's yours?
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking of someone that had already been bearded, but is not classically thought of as a bearded person.
Okay.
During the writer's strike, Conan O'Brien grew out a beard.
Oh, yeah.
And he wore it for a minute, but now he's clean shaven again. I thought he looked awesome with a beard.
Yeah.
I wish he
was
grew
he
that beard
was
back.
he growing it out for the writer's strike?
I think what it was.
It's like when a hockey team.
Yeah, but I thought it was that he like wasn't on the air for a while because of the writer's strike, so he grew out the beard, and then I think he went back on the air and just like kind of kept it for a while, if I remember correctly. So it was a solidarity thing, but it was kind of this thing where he's gone, and then when he came back, he had the beard. I thought he looked really good. Do you remember bearded Conan? He looked good.
He looked good.
All right.
My ginger brother.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to? Is that the end of topic 3? We've gone so long on 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's
we
good.
can kind of just give our picks and move on.
Yeah.
You know what? Tweet us at Justin Golak / at Jackie_Manty with your bearded picks.
Yeah.
Who do you see clean shaven that you'd like bearded up? And don't worry to at reply at Justin Golak about the old Lone Star Cat.
Oh yeah, you'll
So
post it
easy.
tomorrow
I can't believe you
morning.
didn't get it. Well, just this will go. No, just
Well,
once this is up, it'll be up. It'll be up tonight. I'm posting this tonight, so it'll be up tonight. I'll always have it posted like pretty much I'll time it so it goes up when the episode goes up.
cool.
So if you're listening, so my point is, if you're listening to this, it's the morning or if you're listening to this, it's on my Twitter. So, all right, and yeah, classic plugs. I'm Justin Golak, JustinGolak.com. Just updated my calendar, baby. Got a lot of shows coming up, so check that out. Most important one, finally announced. Killing Your Darlings, a show I'm producing at the Den Theater. It's going to be the third Friday of every month starting in March. So March 16th is the first show at 10 o'clock. Cheaper tickets if you buy in advance, $10 online. It's similar to a show I ran not but a few years ago. Monthly show every month. I do 15 minutes of new material. The premise is once you do a joke on that show, you can't do a joke on that show ever again. So I'm going up every month.
Totally
that
new
means
material.
New material for me every month. So 15 new minutes a month, hopefully for a year. That's the plan if it all goes right. So watch me create 3 hours of material in a year from scratch. Starting March 16th at the Den Theater at 10 p.m. Info and a link to tickets where all my shows are always listed. JustinGolak.com. Click that upcoming shows tab. At Justin Golak on Twitter. Justin at JustinGolak.com. Send me them dick pics. Jackie Manti at Jackie_Manti on Twitter. JackieManti.com. Jackie at JackieManti.com. Send her them tit pics. Jackie, what do you got plugged?
It's JackieManti.com, and I'm going to bed.
Jackie's got to plug that. She is getting sleepy. Dude, this is the first time we've ever had a low battery warning on the camera.
It's a good sound, though. I thought that was really interesting.
20% left, though. That's not that
Super
low.
interesting. Don't forget to plug in our mouse.
I already did. It's charging over there.
Hell yeah.
At least I think it's charging. No, light indicator went on, but I got it plugged in. So, all right. But I did find the one that came with the computer. All right. So that was all your plugs. Jackie's about to go to sleep. FemComPod.com. Give us a subscribe on your chosen platform. If you give us a rate or a review, that shit helps too. Patreon.com/LOClass, no dash. Become a patron. Goddamn.
I know,
And
never say it right.
help us out, man. It super, super helps. And we got some dope bonus content with more on the slate. And of course, for everything else, you can go to lowclass.com. That's LO-class.com. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Bye.
Remember to go to youtube.com/Justin Golak to see my sweet, sweet Jackie bathroom banter. Bye.